A service of KIBMradio.com, the Internet's home for an all old-time radio.
Here they are, the Quiz Kids, presented by the makers of Alka-Seltzer. We're on the air with the School Kids Questionnaire. The Quiz Kids, 5 bright, lovable youngsters ready for another difficult examination in the Alka-Seltzer schoolroom of the air. The examination tonight will be conducted in exactly the same manner as all our regular Wednesday night Quiz Kid programs. And as usual, none of the children has seen or heard any of the questions in advance.
I'll say we haven't. Let's get going.
All questions were sent in by you listeners and were selected by Sidney L. James of the editorial staffs of Time and Life magazine.
I don't care who sent them in. Let's get going. That's all right.
A new Zenith portable radio will be awarded the sender of each question used on this program tonight. And now our chief quizzer himself, Joe Kelly.
Thank you, Ken Carpenter, and good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Well, we'll proceed directly to the roll call. Richard?
I'm Richard Williams. I'm 11 years old, and I'm in the 6th grade at Harrison School, East Chicago, Indiana.
Jack Lucal?
I'm Jack Lucal. I'm 14 years old, and I'm a freshman at the Oak Park and River Forest Township High School.
Joan?
I'm Joan Bishop. I'm 14 years old, and I go to the Chicago School for Adults.
Claude?
I'm Claude Brenner. I'm 12 years old, and I'm a sophomore at Senn High School in Chicago.
Gerard?
I'm Gerard Darrow. I'm 8 years old, and we go to the Bradwell School on Burnham.
And Jackie?
I am Jackie Benny. I am 6 years old. Now, I didn't have a chance to go to school at all. I was just a poor boy, and I used to stand on the corner selling papers, barefooted in the winter. And I used to say, extra, extra, paper here. Get your paper.
Quiet, please.
Fine chance I'm going to have here, I can see that. You know.
Now, Jackie,
I know
please.
just as much as the kids, you know. You just ask the questions, that's all.
Jackie, please. And incidentally, where are your curls?
What?
Where are your curls?
On my lap. They got hot.
Well, while we're getting ready for our first question, just a word or two from Ken Carpenter.
Here's a word of friendly advice to all you parents and older folks. Alkalize with Alka-Seltzer. Yes, the next time you eat too much or too fast or eat while under stress and strain, alkalize with Alka-Seltzer. Alka-Seltzer is just the thing to relieve the misery of acid indigestion and distress after meals. It helps to neutralize excess stomach acid, so often the immediate cause of the distress of an upset stomach. But that isn't all. You see, Alka-Seltzer is a pain reliever also. And if you have a sickish headache along with the stomach upset, Alka-Seltzer can bring you mighty comforting relief in both of these disturbances. Be wise. Take Alka-Seltzer. You'll feel better fast.
You said it.
Quiet, please. We will now start with the questions. All right, quiz kids. R.S. Hart of Seattle, Washington says that he was in the desert and after taking an analysis of the only water available, found that it was 100% aqua fontis. Would you drink such water? Joan?
Yes, I would.
Well, can you give us anything further?
Well, aqua fontis is fountain water.
That's right. It's really spring water, Joan.
Oh,
Yeah, spring water,
Yeah.
Joan. That's right, Mr. Kelly. It's spring water.
Yes, I know. It says so on my card here.
I know. That's where I saw it before.
All right, the next question. Pete McDonald of Vernonia, Oregon, a schoolboy who says that he never enjoyed anything in school but recess until he began listening to the Quiz Kids, sends in this one. Incidentally, he adds that his grades are improving. Here it is. If you had something that contained a prothorax, a mesothorax, and a
what?
metathorax.
A meso what?
What did you say?
A meso what?
A mesothorax.
Oh, a mesothorax.
That's right. And a metathorax, what would you have? Gerard?
Gerard, you answer. You had your hand up first.
Now, Mr. Benny,
Yeah.
don't butt in, please.
Well, I just thought... I can
I
see
guess
I'm certainly
that-
going to have a fine chance here
Kelly.
today. You see-
The
All right, Gerard.
mesothorax and the metathorax and the prothorax are all part of the thorax, which is a part of of an insect. On the thorax is the part between the abdomen and the head on an insect.
Well, good for you, Gerard. That was marvelous. That's very good.
I used to know that when I went to school, but... You know, when you get older, you forget those things. That's all. You can't remember everything.
Now, our next
I
question.
used to know algebra, too, when I went to school.
Quiet, please.
Oh.
Mrs. Burdette E. Truesdon of New York City says you can prove you have a good background by naming at least 3 persons whose names will live forever because their names have been used to identify their chief contribution to humanity. For example, the name of Roentgen is perpetuated in the word Roentgenology. Claude?
Nobel. He was a Swiss scientist who discovered dynamite, and he gives out prizes to people who do something great for the world.
That's fine, Claude. Let's see what Joan has to offer.
Well, there's Calvinism. That's a doctrine as to the downfall of man. And Darwinism, the theory of anthropology.
Very good, Joan. Jack Lucal?
Well, there's Alessandro Volta. His name is perpetuated in the volt, by which we measure electricity. And James Watt, they use his name, too, for the watt. That's really
Nice going, Jack Lucal. Let's see, Richard?
Well, Martin Luther in the word Lutheran, which is a church, and Dr. Rontgen, who discovered the Rontgen rays.
That's very, very good, Richard. Jackie has his hand up. What?
Well, there's a fellow named Max. He had something to do with the Maxwell. Maxwell.
Now, wait a minute, Jackie. There's no connection there.
There is, too. A fellow named Max sold me my car.
There it is.
Max Maxwell. Name
Well-
was Max Miller. Certainly got a fine chance on this program, believe me. Should have stayed on
Well-
my own Jell-O show.
It's beside the point, but we'll accept it as half right.
Well, about time.
Claude?
Also, there's Jean-Francois Ampere. He had something to do with electricity, and his name lives in the ampere.
Oh, the Ampere,
That's
the
right,
Ampere.
Claude. Jack Lucal.
Well, there's Cadillac and LaSalle were French explorers, and their names are names of automobiles.
Very good, Jack Lucal. I guess that will hold Jackie for a while. All right, our next
Of
question.
course, if everybody's going to get laughs on this program, I'm going home.
Gerard?
Well, there's also DeSoto, who was named after and he was a Spanish explorer that found the Mississippi.
That's right, Gerard. I'm glad you brought that up. Now then,
What about Johnny Chev that made the Chevrolet? For heaven's sake. You're going to go into that kind of stuff, you know. Johnny Chev. What about Harry Stood? The Studebaker. You're going into that stuff.
well,
I can answer a million of them, you know. Just ask me the questions, that's all.
we'll all withdraw from the garage right now and get into our next question. Miss Margaret Faith of Camden,
hear
New
it all. I can
Jersey,
see that.
poses this mountain climbing and mathematics problem. A mountain climber was making his way along a mountainside ledge.
Wait,
and
pardon me. Who was it asked the question, you say?
Miss Margaret Faith of Camden, New Jersey.
Oh, Camden, New
Yes.
Jersey. I see. Important question.
Let's see where I... Oh, yeah, here I right here. A mountain climber was making his way along a mountainside ledge at an altitude of 6,440 feet. While edging his way, he accidentally kicked a rock which went flying toward the bottom of the mountain at some animals who had to scurry for shelter. Ignoring the friction of the air, how long did the animals have to reach safety before the rock hit? Now, you've got to do this in your heads, kids. No pencil and paper.
What is the last question again, please? How long did it take what?
Well, that is the question. How long did it take?
1 minute and 43 seconds.
That's wrong.
Certainly got a fine chance here.
Richard?
20 seconds.
20 seconds is correct.
Well, no wonder. He squared the root. I tripled it.
Well, nice going, kids, and though I don't think you need it, you can rest a moment now. It's recess time.
We've been telling you over and over again about Alka-Seltzer. We've told you how good it is, how convenient and economical, and how fast it can bring relief in the distress of so many common ailments. And now suppose we let Alka-Seltzer speak for itself. All right, first of all, we take 2 Alka-Seltzer tablets from the package and drop them into a glass of water. Listen. You hear that fizzing, sparkling sound? Sounds good, doesn't it? Well, it is good. It looks good, tastes good, and is so good for relief in so many common ailments. That's Alka-Seltzer, all right. The 2-in-1 remedy. 2 kinds of relief in one glass. First, Alka-Seltzer is a pain reliever, just what you want for relief of headache or sore aching muscles. And second, Alka-Seltzer is an alkalizer, just what you need when excess acid upsets your stomach and causes distress. Be sure to try a sparkling glass of Alka-Seltzer the next time any of these annoying ailments cause you trouble. See for yourself how good it is, how fast it can make you feel better. Ask your druggist for Alka-Seltzer. Ladies and gentlemen, you are listening to the Quiz Kids, presented every Wednesday night at this time by the makers of Alka-Seltzer. Now, just a word about the questions. You can win a new Zenith portable radio with patented built-in wave magnet if you send us a question which our question editor finds suitable for use on the air. Yes, Alka-Seltzer awards a famous Zenith portable radio for each question used on this program. Just mail your questions by postcard or letter to Quiz Kids, National Broadcasting Company, Chicago. That's Quiz Kids, National Broadcasting Company, Chicago. We reserve the right to reword questions, and if like questions are submitted, the first received will be used. All questions become the property of Quiz Kids. So send in your question and win a radio.
You better see Joe, that I get that $100 bond, too. That's all I worried about.
All right, Joe, you ready with the scores at the halfway point?
Yes, Ken, but in deference to our guest contestant, I hesitate to read them. I think I'll just let them go until after the second question session. Maybe a miracle will happen. By the way, Richard, that last question we had before the bell, can you tell us how you work that out?
Well, Mr. Kelly, anybody falling through space, disregarding the friction of the air, accelerates at the rate of 32 2/10 feet per second. And the rule is the distance equals the time in seconds squared times half of the acceleration per second. And in this case, it was 6,440 feet equals 16 1/10 times the time squared. So I divided 6,440 by 16 1/10 and got 400, which is the square of the time in seconds. And I extracted the square root, and that gave me 20. And so the answer is 20 seconds.
Good for you, Richard, my boy.
You see, where I made my mistake there, you see, I took the I took the least common multiple there. That's where I got wrong. That's where I got the minute 43 seconds in there, you see.
You're
I sort of
telling
square-rooted it there in the
Yes,
thing.
that's what I say.
Yeah.
Well, let's get along here now. Here's a question from Mrs. Daniel Stormont of Evanston, Illinois.
5,280 feet is 1 mile.
What? What
I
did you
said
say?
5,280 feet is 1 mile.
Well, nobody asked that one.
Well, if they do, I'm ready. Watch out.
All right, we'll continue.
All right.
If you told the election board you were a mugwump, would
Who's
you
a
be
mug?
listed as a Republican, Democrat, Socialist, or Independent? Now, there is a tough one. If you told the election board you were a mugwump, would you be listed as a Republican, Democrat, Socialist, or Independent?
I wouldn't tell anybody I was a mugwump. So ridiculous. Huh, Claude?
Well, Claude?
I'll take a guess. I say an independent.
That's right, but how did you guess it?
I just guessed.
Oh, you just guessed. That's right. You see, the political name of mugwump, well, let's see what Joan has to say.
Well, I rather thought it was independent, too, because there's a column in one of our Chicago papers called Mugwump.
That's
On
true.
politics.
But you see, the political name of mugwump started in 1884 when it was applied to supporters of James G. Blaine, who switched to Cleveland because of his civil service views. Blaine was Republican candidate for president. Jackie?
I know what a mugwump is.
Oh.
You do?
You see, a
All
mugwump
right.
is a bird that sits on the fence with its mug on one end and its wump on the other.
Well, now, let's have a little more discipline, please.
Well,
Getting back to the political situation, Jackie Benny, who was president of the United States in 1901?
Grover Cleveland.
That's wrong.
Well, I ought to know. I voted for him. It was Grover Cleveland.
You're wrong. It was William McKinley.
Just wish I had a history book, brother. That's all.
I've got one.
Well, give it to me. I got a low chair here. Grover Cleveland. That's who it was.
Let's continue with the next question. Pauline Salzman of Grand Rapids, Michigan, found
Now, me, it
these
isn't
ads in
Grover
the paper.
Cleveland, you know. I know Grover Cleveland because...
Quiet, please. I'd like to present this question. Pauline Salzman of Grand Rapids, Michigan, found these ads in the paper. She would like you to tell her just what is advertised. Here's the first item. For rent, colonial estate near Charlottesville, Virginia, designed by owner. Adjoining buildings make estate virtually a community. Right owner, T.J., Charlottesville, Virginia. Jackie Benny, you're holding your hand up.
I'm waving at some friends in the audience. I can have friends in the audience, can't I? Hello, Mamie.
Well, let's
say?
complete this question. Richard?
Monticello.
Monticello, the home of...
Thomas Jefferson.
That's right,
That's
Richard.
right.
Good for you. Here's the next item. For
Can't have
sale.
friends in the audience, you know. What the devil? I mean, I don't know use of hearing.
Quiet, quiet, please. Here's the second part of this question. For sale, sacrifice, $10 million marble building in the land of Veda. Stands on 313-foot square marble terrace, absolutely unique as architect's eyes poked out after construction completed. Claude?
That's the Taj Mahal.
The Taj Mahal in India. Good for you.
And it took 22,000 men 22 years to build it. And I'm right about Grover Cleveland, too. Only about Grover Cleveland, you know.
Now, we'll continue. Frank O. Estes of Towson, Maryland, sends in this one. Last week, his wife went shopping to get her girlfriend's gifts. She bought Sue a green umbrella for $2.95. Ellen a blue scarf for $2.50. Joanne a brown leather pocketbook for $2.99. And Priscilla, a yellow sports skirt for $3. What was the color of the scarf for Ellen? Joan?
Blue.
Blue is right. Good for you.
1901 was Grover Cleveland, too. I know because I won a pair of cloth-top shoes on the election. Remember that.
We'll forget about Grover Cleveland.
I won't forget about it.
Well, this next question here...
Burns me up, you know. You come over here...
Quiet, please.
Do the best you can.
Tommy Haycomb.
Tommy Haycomb.
Jackie.
About Tommy Haycomb.
I'm reading a name.
All right. Read the name.
All right. Quiet. Tommy Haycomb.
I'm not getting paid for this, you know. I just came over. I'm a guest. That's what burns me up, you know.
Connie Haycomb. Listen, Jackie.
Yes.
I'm beginning to think that you're getting into what little hair I've got left.
Well, I can always tell you where to get a toupee, you know.
Quiet. Connie Haycomb of Minneapolis, Minnesota, wants you to sing or hum these notes as I give them to you, and stop me as soon as you recognize the scales you are singing. All right, here's the first one. C.
Oh. That was Joan.
All right, Joan. D.
Oh.
E flat.
Oh.
F.
Oh.
G.
Oh.
A flat.
Oh.
B.
Oh.
C.
Oh.
Do you recognize the scale?
That's the harmonic minor.
That's very good. All right. Here's the
next one. If I had my violin here, I'd have gotten it.
Here's the next one. C.
Oh.
C sharp.
Oh.
D.
Oh.
D sharp.
Oh.
E.
Oh.
F.
Oh.
I'll tell you what we're going to do. We've got some other hands up. I'm going to give this one to Claude.
That's a chromatic.
Chromatic is correct. Good for you, Claude. And here is the last one. C,
Oh.
D,
Oh.
E flat,
Oh.
F,
Oh.
G,
Oh.
A,
Oh.
B,
Oh.
C,
Oh.
B flat. Richard?
That's the melodic.
Melodic is good. Good for you, kids.
One of the silliest questions I've ever heard. Ask me something once in a while.
Now, quiz kids, you'll need
Waving
mythology.
my hand all the time. Nobody even calls on you. You're standing like a big dope.
You'll need mythology as well as ornithology to answer this one. Ethel Baker of St. Louis, Missouri, wants to know why peacock
Is that
feathers...
Paul Baker's sister, Ethel? That isn't Paul Baker's sister, is it?
When you want to talk, Jackie, will you please hold up your hand?
Because I know an Ethel Baker, you know.
I
That was
see.
Paul Baker's sister.
Well, remember to hold up your hand when you want to say something.
All right, I'll hold up my hand. For heaven's sake, you sit there. What are you, the boss or something?
Quiet, please.
Last time I'll come on this show.
You're telling us. Now, let's see, where am I? Oh, yes, here I am right here.
I care, but it's just...
Ethel Baker of St. Louis, Missouri wants to know why peacock feathers are spotted. Gerard?
The peacock has eyes in his tail feathers because of a mere myth. You see, when a long time ago, when Jupiter married Juno, after a few years, he became jealous of her, and he turned her into a calf. And he sent Argus to watch her. But Juno turned herself right back into her regular form, and Argus was the one that had 100 eyes in his head. And Juno killed Argus and put the eyes in the peacock's tail.
Well, thank you very much, Gerard. That was a very fine description. Jackie, I see you've got your hand up.
I'm wiping my forehead. It's hot here. Even raise his hand.
Fine, we'll continue.
Ridiculous questions I ever heard.
James Wilson, Jr. of Toledo, Ohio, wants you to compose a second line to his one-line verse. Here it is. Fred Allen has a funny show.
I'm going home.
Now, you keep your seat. All right, Fred Allen has a funny show. Let's hear a second line to that. Joan?
Fred Allen has a funny show, but there's not a thing he doesn't know.
Very good, Joan. All right, let's have another one.
Funny about that show, boy.
Gerard?
When Mr. Benny hears that, he'll surely blow.
All right, Jackie, what have you got to offer?
Fred Allen has a funny show. How he does it, I don't know. His jokes are old, his gags ain't funny. He ought to be paid in Confederate money. The end.
Now then, here is really one for you, Jackie Benny. Listen to this.
My father's listening in.
Yeah. All right, tell me, how many strings on a violin?
5. 4.
Yeah.
4.
Very good. How do you spell rosin?
R-O-S-O-N. Rosin.
That's wrong. It's R-O-S-I-N.
Can't understand it. I've been using it for years. Question.
Well, there's the bell, kids. I'll have your scores in just a moment.
Have you had your vitamins today? Well, here's the answer to your daily vitamin A and D problem. Take one-a-day brand vitamin A and D tablets, now offered and guaranteed by the makers of Alka-Seltzer. Each one-a-day tablet is equal in vitamin A and D content to 2 whole teaspoonfuls of cod liver oil, meeting minimum United States pharmacopoeia standards. One a day is all you take, one a day is all you need, and a penny a day is all it costs. Listen to these low prices. 30 tablets, 35 cents, 90 tablets, only 85 cents, and 180 tablets, only $1.50. One a day is all you take, and 1 penny a day is all it costs. Remember, one-a-day brand vitamin A and D tablets have been developed and are guaranteed by the makers of Alka-Seltzer, tested and approved by Good Housekeeping Bureau, and commended by Consumer Service Bureau of Parents Magazine. Every member of your family should take one-a-day tablets every day. Ask your druggist for one-a-day tablets. That's the name, one-a-day brand. Look for the big 1 on the package.
Just when I got rolling, the show had to be over.
Well, kids, as a group, you missed only one question tonight, and the individual winners are Richard first, Joan second, and Claude third.
Of course, I knew I wouldn't be in it.
I congratulate you. I congratulate you, as I said before. I congratulate all you quiz kids and take pleasure in presenting to each of you, in behalf of the makers of Alka-Seltzer, a $100 denomination United States savings bond. And Jackie Benny, I don't have one for you. You see, these bonds are to help the children pay for their future education, and we didn't think you'd spend your money in going to college. But here's a Zenith portable radio. Maybe you can learn something listening to the Quiz Kids every Wednesday night.
Well, at least I can hawk the radio. I can get something.
Friends, we'll be back in Chicago next week, and we'll resume competition with only the 3 highest scorers remaining for the succeeding examination. The 3 winners on our last competitive program were Claude, Richard, and Jack. Completing the board will be Gerard and Joan, the same children on the program tonight. Meanwhile, this is Joe Kelly dismissing the Quiz Kids class until next Wednesday at this same time. Good night, kids.
Come on,
Good night,
ask some
Mr.
more
Kelly.
questions. Let's get going here. Come on.
Listen again next Wednesday night to the Quiz Kids. The makers of Alka-Seltzer present 3 programs each week, all of them on NBC networks. On Friday night, Alec Templeton Time. On Saturday night, the famous Alka-Seltzer National Barn Dance. And next Wednesday night again, the Quiz Kids. For interesting variety and entertainment, listen to the Alka-Seltzer shows. Ken Carpenter speaking. This is the National Broadcasting Company.
On the air with the School Kids Questionnaire, brought to you by the makers of Alka-Seltzer and One-A-Day brand vitamin tablets. And here they are, the Quiz Kids with Jack Benny as our special guest. 5 Quiz Kids, get ready for those examination questions you listeners sent in. And if you hear your name on a question, you'll know a Zenith Portable radio is on its way to you. Because we give a Zenith Portable for every question used on the show. You just mail your questions to Quiz Kids, Chicago. We may rewrite them, and we must be sole judges in case of similarity. And now, with the rules and regulations taken care of, we'll get on with the quiz under the tutelage of our chief quizzer himself, Joe Kelly.
Thank you, Fort Pearson, and good evening, everyone. Fort forgot to mention one rule. Of the 5 quiz kids, the 3 with high scores come back again. Now, we had one quiz kid who could never come back again on that basis because he got no score at all. So tonight we bring him back anyway as guest judge. His name, ladies and gentlemen, is Jackie Benny. Now, His Honor, Judge Benny is going to be a little late for school tonight because he's giving his own show for the Army Air Force's Technical Training School away across town in Chicago. So we've arranged for a special escort to rush him here to the studios, and we have reserved an elevator, and it's waiting below to whisk him up to the 19th floor. And while we're waiting, we get on with roll call. Harvey?
I'm Harvey Bennett Fishman. I'm 12 years old and in the 8th grade at the Bradwell School.
Margaret?
I'm Margaret Merrick. I'm 14 years old. I live in Western Springs, and I'm a sophomore at Lyons Township High School.
Richard?
I'm Richard Williams. I'm 13 years old, and I'm in the 8th grade at Roosevelt School, East Chicago, Indiana.
Ruthie?
I'm Lysandra Duskin. I'm 8 years old, and I'm in 5th grade at the Parkside School.
And Joe?
I am Joe Kupperman. I am 6 years old and 2A at both the schools.
Say, wait a minute, Joel. I thought you were going to be on Jack Benny's program right now. What happened?
Well, you see, the government needed some of the time on Jack Benny's program, and both the government and me there wouldn't be time enough for both the government and me, and the government was more important than me, so I got off.
Oh, well, good for you. Well, now that's a splendid way to look at it, Joel, and I really admire you. You really are a true little American gentleman. Meantime, Fort Pearson will take over in the mathematics department.
Well, here's the answer to one family problem, Joe. You can add to your comfort and subtract plenty from your miseries if you try Alka-Seltzer when you're bothered with a headache or a touch of acid indigestion. In addition, you'll find Alka-Seltzer soothing when you have an upset stomach, simple neuralgia, or muscular aches and pains. And what's more, you can divide the small cost of Alka-Seltzer by the number of times it may prove helpful. And you'll find the price isn't even a fraction of the comfort it can bring. And that's exactly why the folks who praise Alka-Seltzer are multiplying day by day. Well, that's all for me, Joel. Let the quiz kids take over.
All right, Fort. Well, children, your first question is from Phil P. Greenwood of Brentwood, Maryland. If you were in a hurry to drain the water out of your bathtub, would it drain quicker if you continued to sit in the tub after pulling the plug or if you climbed right out? Richard?
If you sat in the tub, it would drain quicker because the depth of the water would be greater, and so the pressure varies directly as the depth of the water, and it'd be deeper, so it'd go out quicker.
That's right, Richard, my boy. Good for you. Well, now, let's see. Harvey has his hand up. Harvey?
Well, I agree with Richard, and there's another reason, too.
well, the water would be higher, and a little bit of it would go out the drain that's on top of the tub, too.
Well, now, say, there's an angle we didn't cover. Okay, good boy, Harvey. Well, now, next question. I hope you won't be at sea answering this question from John H. Barron of Minneapolis, Minnesota. He wants you to think of 3 seas named after countries or islands. Joel?
There's the Sea I read down the middle of the Navy, and there's 2 of them, the North China Sea and the East China Sea, and there's the Irish Sea and the Arabian Sea.
Well, that's fine, Joel. That's all right, believe me. Well, we've got some more hands up. Let's see how far we can go with this. Margaret?
There's the Bering Sea.
Bering Sea, after a country or an island, Margaret?
Well, there is a Bering Island in Bering Strait.
Well, I'm afraid I'll have to take your word for it. I don't have it on my card. I'm sorry. All right, Harvey?
Well, there's the Java Sea, and I think there's one called the Japan Sea.
Well, that is right. Now, Java Sea, that's another one that I'll have to look up, I'm afraid, because I don't have that on my card. Well, we've got more than enough. Thanks very, very much, kids. We better get along to the rest of our questions now. Gene Archer of Dallas, Texas, must be anticipating spring house cleaning. He wants to know how much it costs to wash completely a window 4 feet wide and 5 feet high at 2 cents a square foot. Margaret?
20 cents.
How much?
20 cents.
You say 20 cents?
No. It'd be 20 square feet, so it'd be 40 cents.
Well, no. Richard?
80 cents, because you'd have to wash both sides.
Both sides of the window. That's right. I said completely. Yes, sir. That was sort of a little catchy question, Margaret. All right, next question. Esther Woodward of Cleveland, Ohio, points out that some characters in literature are decidedly off the beam. What did these characters do to make you think they are a little off up here? The first character is Ophelia. Margaret?
Ophelia murdered.
Well, I think I'm going to have something more than that. From what?
From Hamlet.
Beg pardon?
She's from Hamlet.
Hamlet, by whom?
William Shakespeare.
That's right. Well, let's see if we can't get something further on Ophelia here. That's all right, Margaret. Ruthie?
What do you mean by off the beam?
Beg pardon? Well, that means, a little bit touched in the upper story up here, see?
She drowned herself.
That's right. And, Margaret, I think that you'll find that Ophelia didn't murder.
I meant murdered herself. I forgot about suicide.
Oh, I see. Yes, she drowned herself. All right, well, I guess that takes care of Ophelia. Now, how about Papageno? Papageno. Ruthie?
Well, he lied.
Well, yes. Can you tell us something else about him?
Well, he was a bird catcher, and he was condemned to serve Tamina in his search for Tamina.
Where would you find Papageno?
In the Magic Flute.
By whom?
Mozart.
By Mozart, that's right. Now, the next character is Mr. Billingsley. Richard?
Well, he just does sort of silly things around Jack Benny's house.
Tell me, Richard, can you quote him on anything?
Well, when we were on his program, he came in and he said, "Oh, hello, Mr. Benny, playing with the kitties, I
see." Richard, can you tell me who takes the part of Mr. Billingsley?
I think it's Bill Morrow.
No. It's, well, that's beside the point. It's Eddie Boulogne, another of Jack Benny's writers. All right, so far so good, kids. Well, now, Mrs. Frank C. Doyle of Elmira, New York, sends in these descriptions of girls mentioned in songs. What are the songs? This first lady is described by the author as the girl with the strawberry curls. Harvey?
Well, that's in Casey. The band played on, and Casey would waltz with the strawberry blonde. And the part that says the strawberry curls is he'd ne'er leave the girl with the strawberry curl, and the band played on.
Well, can you sing part of it for us, Harvey?
He ne'er leave the girl with the strawberry curl, and the band played on.
Well, makes everybody want to waltz, doesn't it? That was fine. Now, here's the next one. The buckwheat cake were in her mouth, the tear was in her eye. Richard?
Well, that's Susanna. From Oh, Susanna by Stephen Foster.
That's right. And I didn't really think you kids would get that because that's rather obscure. It's in the second verse, by the way. But can you sing part of Oh, Susanna for us?
It goes, the buckwheat cake was in her mouth, tear was in her eye. Says I'm coming from the south. Susanna, don't you cry.
That's very, very nice, Richard. Very nice. All right, Gordon S. Slaughter of Vestal, New York, sends in this Bible question. He wants to know who got left behind in each of these instances in the Bible. Here's the first instance. Escape for thy life. Look not behind thee, neither stay thou in all the plain. Escape to the mountain, lest thou be consumed. Margaret?
Well, Lot escaped, and Lot's wife did not. She was turned to a pillar of salt.
That's right, Margaret. Now, here's the next instance. And the man, the lord of the country, said unto us, Hereby shall I know that ye be true men. Leave one of your brethren here with me, and take food for the famine of your households, and be gone. Ruthie?
Simeon was
Simeon, that's right. Good for you. Well, the next question is one that comes up in most every home where there are youngsters.
How can I get my children to take their vitamins without a lot of nagging and coaxing?
Well, that's easy. No doubt you're referring to vitamins A and D, or perhaps you call them the cod liver oil vitamins. Well, why don't you give these vitamins to your children in pleasant-tasting tablet form? Yes, I mean one-a-day brand vitamin A and D tablets made by Miles. Each of these easy-to-take tablets actually contains even more than a normal daily supply of vitamins A and D. And these one-a-day tablets are so pleasant-tasting, the children can chew them like candy. And, of course, Mother, from your point of view, you avoid not only the coaxing and nagging, but also there's no sticky spoons to wash, no greasy stains on clothes or tablecloth. These winter days, when so many colds are going around, it's wise to give the grown-ups, as well as the children, the vitamin protection of one-a-day vitamin A and D tablets. You take just a single tablet a day, and it costs very little, hardly more than a penny a day when you buy the family-size package at your drugstore. Remember that name, one-a-day brand vitamin A and D tablets made by the Miles Laboratories. Now, let's have more questions, teacher.
All right, Fort. Well, kids, Ruth Collins of St. Louis, Missouri, wonders whether you can shed any light on how these quotations end. Both mention candles. How far that little candle, and then what's the rest of it? Ruthie?
How far that little candle throws its beam, how shines a good deed in this naughty world.
Well, that's almost true, word for word. Let's see if we can't get in the correct words, Ruthie. Who's that by the way, Ruthie? Well, let's see if Margaret can tell us. Margaret?
Well, Portia says that's in The Merchant of Venice, also by Shakespeare, and I think it's the, how far that little candle throws its beams, so shines on a good deed in a naughty world.
That's right. You were off on just one word. It's his beams instead of its beams. Well, all right. We mustn't get too technical. Here's the next one now. In winter, I get up. Harvey?
In winter, I get up at night and dress by yellow candlelight. In summer, quite the other way, I have to go to bed by day.
And that is by?
By Robert Louis Stevenson. And it's, I think, a child's garden of verses.
Well, the name of it is, let's see if we can bring that out. Joel?
Bed in Summer.
Bed in Summer, that's it, yeah. Hold everything. The door's opening, and yes, here he is, ladies and gentlemen, His Honor Judge Jack Benny.
Can I talk through here?
I don't know.
Through here?
Well, all right, over there, Jack.
No, really, I hate to butt in on this thing like that. I'm sorry I'm late, but you see, I have my own program every Sunday night at 6 o'clock in Chicago, and I just got through with my own, and I had to run back to my hotel at the Stockyards Plaza, and then I had trouble coming. You know how crowded the cabs are now. You can't get any cabs or anything, so I finally got in a streetcar, and I had an argument with the conductor there. I just happened to ask him if they make rates for actors, and they said no, and had a little trouble there. Where do you want me to sit?
Right over here, Judge. Yes, but listen, you didn't need to go to all that bother. Ordinarily, our judges don't go in for white wigs, you know.
I'm going to find out pretty soon who's going to be the comedian here. That's what I'm...
Well, Judge, school's already in session, so you'd better take your place at the judge's
I'm glad
bench.
to see all these kids again.
I bet you are, Dad. We're mighty glad to see you.
Gosh, I haven't seen them since we played together about 20 years ago at the Palace, you know?
By the way, Judge, here are the scores up to this point, and you can carry on from there and keep tabs on the scores. All right. Now, let's see.
Pardon me, I put on my glasses. I'm at that trombone age, you know, where you get this thing.
Well, that's all right. That's all right, Jack. Don't apologize. Now, here's our next question here. Here's a surprising question from Joe Hefner of Hamburg, New York.
Really?
Oh, yeah, this is for the children, yeah. Now, who was the last Democratic president to serve only one term? The last Democratic president to serve only one term. Margaret?
I think it was Calvin Coolidge.
No. Oh, no.
No, it wasn't Coolidge.
No, it wasn't, no. I'm glad you're listening.
Was he president at all?
Oh,
he was. He was, yes.
Oh, Judge, please, after all. All right, let's see what Harvey has to say.
Was it Buchanan?
Well, now, I'm asking you.
Yes, Buchanan.
That's just who it was. James Buchanan. You really knew that.
I was hoping he'd get it. Yes,
Yeah.
I did. I thought it was very good.
All right, now, who was the last Republican president to serve 2 full terms?
Fred Allen.
No. All right. now, Judge.
I'm sorry.
Oh, okay. Harvey?
That is Ulysses Simpson. No, I think Ulysses Simpson Grant.
You think?
Yes.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Well, I am too. That's what it was. Yeah, that's the answer. Now then, here's a math question from Frank Clark of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Assume that the world is 25,000 miles in circumference. If you walked around the world at the equator, you wouldn't lose your head, but it would go faster than your feet. Approximately, how much farther would the top of your head travel than the soles of your feet? You are 5 1/2 feet tall.
Would you mind repeating that?
Judge, I don't think it's necessary. We have some hands up, and
pardon me.
I think I'll call on Richard.
Well, Joel is smaller than I am, so why don't you let him answer it?
Uh-huh. That's a nice gesture, Richard. It looks to me we're going to be so polite around here tonight we won't get this question answered at all. So we'll let Joel try it, and then we'll check with you, Richard. All right, Joel.
5 feet 1 1/2 inches times 2 would equal 10 feet and 3 inches. That's 10 1/4 times 3 1/7. 10 times 3 1/7 equals 41 3/7. And 1/4 of 3 1/7 equal 11/14 plus 31 3/7 equal 31 32 3/14 feet.
Well, now, let's check with Richard on that. Richard?
Well, either I misunderstood or Joel did. I thought you said that you were supposed to be 5 1/2 feet tall.
Yeah, that's right.
But he figured it for 5 feet and 1 1/2 inches.
Oh, I see. Well, I'll tell you what, let's start all over again. I'm sorry.
You see, I was right in asking you to repeat the question.
You certainly were, Judge.
I mean, after all, I'm a guest here, you know. You can treat me with a little courtesy, Mr. Kelly.
Well, I'm very, very sorry.
Just because you're running for mayor again, you know.
I'm sure Edward J. thanks you very, very much for that plug.
Burns me up. They asked me to come over here. I'm not getting paid for this, you know.
Well, I'll tell you, let's start all over again. Joel, do you think you've got it right now? 5 1/2 feet tall.
Well, 5 1/2 times 2 equals 11 times 3 and the 7 equals 34 and 4/7.
34 and 4/7 is right. Good for you. Oh, that's
funny,
marvelous.
Joe. I had 33 1/2. I was just a little bit off there. I'm sorry.
Well, I think
I must have figured that wrong.
You left
33 1/2.
Evidently, you left the pi part out.
The cubic. I had the cubic meter in
no,
there.
That's where you were
bit.
wrong.
Yes, I got
33
1/2. I can't figure out.
Well, Joel, after the broadcast, will you get together with the judge and explain it
Well,
to
you
us?
have to multiply by 2, and then
I did it!
I multiplied.
What? No, wait, here. Wait a minute. Joel.
you multiply by 2, and then you multiply that by 3 and a 7.
I know. I did it twice. I multiplied it twice, and I got 33 1/2.
Then you must have been wrong on the...
Well, all right. Okay. All right, Joe. Joe, listen, I'd just like to say one thing. When I was 8 years old, I used to be able to answer all these questions, too. But believe me, 20 years makes a difference. You forget?
Well, we'll take that up after the broadcast, Joel. Thanks a lot.
Anytime Joel wants to make something out of it, you know. See him later.
I'll tell you what, you can all
make him
catch...
any day he ever saw, you know.
Judge, pardon me. Yeah. You can all catch your breath a minute now while Fort Pearson goes on with the vitamin lesson.
Thank you, Joe. This time I would like to talk about the B vitamins that are so important in our daily diet. Yes, the same B vitamins that you find in one-a-day brand vitamin B complex tablets made by Miles. These B vitamins are found in meat, whole grains, various fruits, and vegetables. They're extremely important where energy, digestion, and nerves are concerned. So, if you're feeling sort of all tired out and nervous, it could be you're not getting enough of those B vitamins. And just so you won't have to bother with them 3 or 4 times each busy day, the Miles Laboratories developed this single one-a-day brand B complex tablet to give you the full minimum daily supply of all the B vitamins for which requirements have been established. Yes, all in one little pleasant-tasting tablet. And what's more, you'll find them low priced, too. A whole month's supply for just 90 cents. That's a name to remember and insist on when you're buying B vitamins. One-a-day brand vitamin B complex tablets made by Miles Laboratories. Now, the next question, please, Joe.
All right, Fort. Are you ready, Judge?
Yes.
All right. Now, here is a question from Mrs.
Mary.
Mary.
I got 33 1/2 there.
Here is a question from Mrs. Marion P. Miller of New Orleans about famous Allen. I want you to identify them. The first one is Ethan Allen. Margaret?
Well, he and his Green Mountain Boys cleaned up on the British before and during the Revolutionary War.
That's right. Good for you. All right. How about Allen Adale? Joel?
In the book, it was in the book Robin Hood, and Robin Hood helped Allen Adale win the wife he wanted.
That's right, Joel. Can you tell us something else about him?
Yeah, he was a minstrel.
Uh-huh.
I mean a mistress.
That's right. All right, well, thanks very much. Now, wait a minute. I thought there'd be a third part to this question. Another Allen. Oh, but
Juggler. There was a juggler by the name of Allen.
Oh, juggler. Well, I couldn't think
It was sort of a lout, if I may use the word.
Well, I really couldn't think of one myself, so I guess we'd better get along here. Now, we're going to have some fun with this question from Arlene Erickson of Bellingham, Washington. She wants you to make up some sentences or expressions using the names of popular brands of soap. Punning is permitted. All right, now let's have some sentences or expressions using the names of popular brands of soap. Margaret?
If I had my way, I would bury him.
Uh-huh. Well,
we're back to Alan again.
All right. Very good, Margaret. All right, any more? Ruthie?
Well, you mean the names of the soap?
Yes, you can use the name of a soap.
You're my sweetheart.
Ruthie, that was cute. That was a doozer. Yes, sir, that's all right. Any more? All right, Joel?
I was just going to say that the one Margaret said was not a real verse. It was blank verse.
Blank verse. How about that, Judge? Judge?
Blank verse?
Yes.
Well, I can't agree with Joel.
Oh, you can't?
No.
Well, all right, then. I think we'd...
Not until we get that other argument settled about 33 and a half before I agree with him on this.
All right. Well, I'm for Joel.
I can't understand how I got 33 and a half on that thing.
All right, Margaret?
Well, you could say, it's a blackout. Lux, turn off the light.
Yeah, you could. That's all right. Harvey?
Well, it doesn't have to be any particular brand of soap. Oh, we'll use Palm Olive. Palm Olive for the phosphorescent skin.
Well, that's all right, too. I think Ruthie's really caught on the idea. Now, Ruthie?
There's an ivory statue over there.
An ivory statue. Well, that's all right. Very good. By the way, Judge,
Yes?
I said punning is permitted. Would you like to participate in this?
Well, I don't know. I come in contact with soap so little, I don't quite.
Well, okay. Let's get along. There's the bell. Yes, sirree.
That bell saved me.
You certainly did. Yes, that was the last bell. School time's up. And now it's time for His Honor Judge Benny to demonstrate his jurisprudence.
My what?
Well, Jack, you do have the scores ready.
Oh, the scores.
Oh,
yeah. Well, don't rush me. I'm double checking. Let's see. 5, 5 is 55. Carry over the square peg into the round root. I still got 33 and a half. Look, Kelly, you're not going to put me in a spot like this. No.
Well, what do you mean, Jack? You're here as the judge, and you're supposed to add the scores and decide which 3 of the 5 quiz kids come back next week.
Oh, I am. Well, listen, Mr. Kelly, the quiz kids are all friends of mine, and the way my scores come out, all 5 of them tied for first place, and they all come back next week.
Well, that's certainly fair, Your Honor. And I know
figure out how he got 34 and 4/7.
Well, I'll tell you what we'll do now. We'll have Joel get together with you after the broadcast, Joel, by the way, after the broadcast. Yeah. And then he can explain everything to you, and I'm sure that he will straighten you out on that, I'm sure.
I'd like to have him straighten out how I can save a dime out of my income tax next year, too. We'll get together later, Joel. We'll figure this thing out.
Yes, you two fellows get together. Now, as I said before, that was certainly fair of you, Jack, and I know there'll be no appealing your decision. Now, of course, you know we give each quiz kid a $100 denomination war bond from the makers of Alka-Seltzer. These bonds are...
I was worried there for a minute. I thought,
yeah.
Who gives 100?
The makers of
Alka-Seltzer.
These,
I thought it was the judge for a moment. I got a little bit there.
Yeah, the children get them.
Oh,
now, these bonds are to help the children with their future education.
I see.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
I don't get anything. No bonds or anything.
No, that's just for the children.
I see. I just come over here for nothing. I see.
Well,
Joe, that thing, they help our boys on the fighting front for such things as liberty and democracy and freedom of education, which makes possible splendid American youngsters like the quiz kids.
Thank you very much, Jack. And thank you very, very much for lending us your judicial presence tonight. Yeah. Well, school's over. This is Joe Kelly dismissing the quiz kids class until this same time next Sunday. Good night, kids.
Good night, Mr. Kelly.
Good night, Judge Benny.
Good night, teacher.
Listen to the Quiz Kids every Sunday at this same time. Jack Benny appeared on the Quiz Kids program through the courtesy of the General Foods Corporation. This is Fort Pearson speaking.
This program came to you from Chicago. This is the Blue Network.
Listen to it fizz. Alka-Seltzer for headaches. Alka-Seltzer for acid indigestion. Alka-Seltzer for cold distress. Alka-Seltzer presents The Quiz Kids.
That bell calls class to order, Quiz Kids. And listen closely. Here's today's first question. Name the atomic numbers of sulfur, helium, and hydrogen, and you will have a once-famous political slogan. What is the slogan?
Say, that's a tough one, isn't it? Well, how about it? Can you folks at home answer that question? Well, you'll have time to do some fast figuring while the youngsters here in school answer roll call. And here they are, the Quiz Kids, and the chief quizzer himself, Joe Kelly.
Thank you, Bob Murphy, and hello, everyone. Well, we're going to delve into a number of interesting subjects this afternoon, friends, and I think you'll be amazed at the variety of information these quiz kids hold right at their fingertips. Follow along with us now and see how many of our questions you can answer, too. Are you all ready for roll call, children? Fine. Here we go. Joel?
I'm Joel Kupperman. I'm 12 years old, and I'm a freshman at the Roosevelt High School.
Patrick?
I am Patrick O'Connell, and I'm 11 years old and in 7A at Fort Dearborn School in Chicago.
Brenda?
I'm Brenda Liebling. I'm 4 years old and I live in Chicago, Illinois.
Rennie?
I'm Rennie Templeton. I'm 13 years old and in 9th grade at U High.
And the new face in class this afternoon, Donald.
I'm Donald Hall. I'm 12 years old in the West School in Waukegan, Illinois.
All right, fine. Now, what can you do with that first question from Mary Lewis of South Bend, Indiana? Name the atomic numbers of sulfur, helium, and hydrogen, and you will have a once-famous political slogan. What is the slogan? And we have two hands up. Pat's hand was up first. All right,
Pat. Well, the number of sulfur, is it? Yes, it must be.
Sulfur?
That's 15.
Is what?
15.
You say 15?
Wait a second.
It's 16.
16 is right.
Helium is 2, and hydrogen
wait a minute,
1.
Pat. Oh, you lost out there. See, you lost out. Joel?
It's 16, 2, and 1, so that's 1621.
1621, and Pat?
Well, I see what happened there. It's 16, 2, 1, and that was the famous political slogan of William Jennings Bryan. That was the radio Free Silver.
That's
and
right.
And that applied to Free Silver.
That was in the...
Bryan lost in the 1896 election.
1896. That's absolutely right. Good boy, Pat. Yes, sir, I can mark you absolutely right on that one. And we send Mary Lewis of South Bend, Indiana, a fine Zenith transoceanic shortwave portable radio for sending in that question. Now, that's always Alka-Seltzer's reward when the quiz kids answer your question correctly. If they miss, Alka-Seltzer sends you a big Zenith radio phonograph combination, the set with 2 FM bands and 2 of the new Cobra tone arms, 1 for regular records and 1 for the new long-playing records. So try your hand at stumping these youngsters, friends. Send your questions to Quiz Kids, Chicago. Now, this question from Dolores Bernhardt of Nashville, Tennessee, will have you children going in circles, I think. You are to tell if you would be using a clockwise or counterclockwise motion in the following instances. Number 1, in going through a revolving door. Patrick.
Well, that's a clockwise motion.
Well, let's see. We have other hands up here. Donald?
That's counterclockwise.
Counterclockwise is right in going through a revolving door. In winding your watch. Joel?
It's clockwise.
Clockwise, right. If you were standing in front of an American transport plane, in what direction would the propellers be going? In front of the plane now. Rennie?
Clockwise.
You say clockwise? Well, we have 2 other hands up. Pat?
Well, I say it's counterclockwise.
And what were you going to say, Joel?
Counterclockwise.
Counterclockwise is right, as you face the front of the plane, and they all go in the same direction. All right, next we'll have a music lesson from Sylvia Newland of Hutchinson, Kansas. You are to identify the following waltzes and tell what persons, past or present, each suggests. You must get 2 out of 3 on this one, kids. All right, Howard, let's have number 1. Rennie?
Well, that is the Skater's Waltz.
Skater's
isn't it?
Waltz,
And
so...
you could say, well, Dick Button, Barbara Ann Scott, Sonia Henney. I mean, any skater.
That's right. Very, very good. Let's see what we can do with this number 2. Joel?
That's, let's see, that's from the Fledermaus, You and You. It's also the overture.
No. Sorry. Rennie?
Isn't that either? I'm not sure. It's either the Emperor Waltz or Tales from the Vienna Woods.
No.
Isn't...
Tell me, Howard, let's hear maybe another strain of this. Joel?
That's Artist Life by Strauss. And that's, well, it'd be any artist, Picasso
Well, name one.
Sequeiros.
Fine. You gave me 2. All right. And here's the third part now. Rennie?
That is the Missouri Waltz, and need we say Harry S. Truman.
Very good. What were you going to say, Brenda?
And President Truman, too.
Oh, and President Truman, yes. Oh, yes. Double or nothing, yes, sir. Patrick?
Well, I was going to say some of their senators, Senator Donald or Senator Kemp or
Sure.
Representative Dewey Short or Paul Jones, Clarence Cannon, any of the representatives.
The governor from Missouri?
The governor, Forrest Smith, yeah.
That's right. Those are all good answers. Fine. Well, I asked for 2 out of 3, and you gave me 3 out of 3. That's very, very good, kids. Mrs. Betty Howard of Detroit, Michigan, believes that little children all over the world are a good deal alike. They are all lovable youngsters and all enjoy the same kinds of stories. If the children in Germany were reading the following, what would the stories be? The first is Rotkäppchen. Brenda.
Little Red Riding.
Little Red Riding Hood is right. Now see if you can get this next one. Aschenbrodel. Brenda again. Cinderella, right. How do you like that? 4 years old. Well, all right, children. Now, while I select the next puzzler from our Alka-Seltzer question box, here's Bob Murphy with a word about the weather.
Yes, and friends, that word is a reminder. The blustery, unpredictable month of March is just about here, so it can pay you to watch out for colds. Yes, take care. And if you should take cold, remember Alka-Seltzer and the relief it can give from much of your cold distress. Here's the easy-to-follow, really effective ABC cold comfort treatment. A, Alka-Seltzer. Start taking it at the first sign of a cold to help relieve that ache in every bone, feverish feeling. B, be wise. Beware of drafts. Be careful of your diet. Be sure to get more rest than usual. And C stands for comfort. The comfort an Alka-Seltzer gargle can give the sore throat caused by your cold. Try Alka-Seltzer's ABCs if you're caught with a cold. Get Alka-Seltzer at any drugstore. And during this cold-catching season, it will be especially wise to ask for that extra package when you buy. Yes, that's good advice. And if you'll heed it, you'll have Alka-Seltzer handy when you need it. All right, now, Joe, back to those questions.
Fine, Bob. Kids, Mrs. Clomer Coker of Sedan, Kansas, wants to see if you can make 5 words by using Roman numerals as letters. 5 words. Joel?
Well, let's see. The Roman numerals are I, V, L, C, D, and M. Well, now, your vowels, then, would be... You'd only have one vowel, namely I. So, let's see. It could be lid...
L-I-D, right, that's
see,
one.
Mid.
Huh?
Mid, M-I-D.
M-I-D, that's 2.
Let's see,
Rennie?
Mill, M-I-L-L.
M-I-L-L, that's 3. Pat?
Mix, M-I-X.
M-I-X, that's 4. Donald?
Dim, D-I-M.
D-I-M, that's 5. Hooray, good for you, kids. Can you think of another one real quick? Joel?
Vim.
Huh?
Vim.
Vim, that's right. Yeah, I'm looking all over my numerals there. Oh. All right, fine. I only asked for 5 and you gave me 6. Mrs. Esther Fisher of New York City thinks it's impossible to give a good school teacher too much praise. She reminds us that some of our greatest Americans taught school. Let's see if you kids can identify these men. You must get 2 out of 3.
You can accomplish so much more good for so many more people by training other men in modern medicine. And that's what counts with me. I might be able to save 10 people strangling with yellow fever. But if I teach 10 men to use antitoxin, they can save 100.
Patrick?
Well, I don't know. Would that be Dr. Reed?
Dr. Walter Reed
Yeah.
is right, Pat. Let's see what we can do with this next one.
You ask me, what does it matter if children learn to spell? And I answer, what a barefoot boy learns in a village school influences his whole life. And again you ask, what does it matter how farmers pronounce their words? And let me answer that some farm boys in this country cannot even read and write. How can they be good Americans when they are so ignorant?
Donald?
That be Noah Webster?
Noah Webster, that's right, absolutely. This last one is part of a letter sent to a professor at Iowa State College.
The letter reads, I cannot offer you money, position, or fame. The first 2 you have. The last you will no doubt achieve. These things I now ask you to give up. I offer you in their place work, hard work. The task of bringing a people from degradation, poverty, and waste to full manhood.
Donald?
Booker T. Washington sent that to George Washington Carver.
George Washington Carver is right. Good boy, Donald, good boy. Now, the next question from our Alka-Seltzer question box is from Mrs. Nina Nelson of Sacramento, California, kids. What opera, judging by its name, would the Metropolitan likely perform if it were honoring the wife of Thomas Jefferson? Joel?
Well, wife of Thomas Jefferson was Martha Skelton.
Was what?
Martha Skelton.
Martha Skelton, yes.
So
what
it
opera?
Might play an opera. Well, Carmen, a lot of people died and there were a lot of skeletons, so they might play that.
Oh, well, that's all right, Joel. I'm thinking of a better answer. Rennie?
Martha.
Martha. The opera Martha. Mm-hmm. How about the wife of John Quincy Adams? What opera, Pat?
Well, that was Louise Catherine Johnson, so it'd be Louise.
Well, her name was it Louise?
Yeah, Louise.
Huh? Well, Joel, what were you going to say?
I think it's Louise, too.
Well, it had an A on the end of it, so it would be Louisa.
Well, it'd still be the opera.
That would be close enough, uh-huh. All right, fine. Mrs. Delbert Sanguinet of Bellingham, Washington, wants you children to identify some music for her, but she has asked you to also spell the song titles. And she really has picked out some dingaroos here. And you must get 2 out of 3. Here's the first one. Joel?
That's Kira Bira Bin. I doubt whether I can spell this, but I'll try.
All right, let's try.
C-I-R-I-B-I-R-I-B-I-N.
That's wonderful, Joel. That's right. All right, children, let's see what we can do with the next one. Patrick?
Well, that's Tooly Ooly Dooly.
That's
and I
righty.
suppose it would start out T-O-O-L-I-E.
Right, so far.
Now here comes the Ooly.
Yeah.
O-O.
What is that again now?
O-O-L-I-E.
Right.
And the last is the Dooley.
Is the Dooley.
That's D-O-O-L-I-E.
That's very goody, Patty. Yes, very good. All right, here's the last one. That sounds good enough to dance to, doesn't it, huh? Rennie?
That's Quantilagusta.
So? Can you spell it?
Oh, dear. Q-U-A... No?
No, you're off to the wrong start on the very first letter. You want to try again?
V-C?
C, all right.
C-U-A-N-D-I-L-A.
No.
No?
No. I'm sorry. Joel?
C-U-A-N-T-A.
No, that's wrong. Pat?
Well, is it Quasta? Or
No.
Quatra? Or
Quantum.
Quat?
Quantum.
Well, here goes. C-W.
No. No wobblies in it. No, sirree. Joel wants to try again.
Well, let's see. I think it's pretty well established that it starts with C-U-A.
C-U-A is right.
Then it'll be, there sounds like there's an N in there.
Yes.
And then there's T.
T.
And then an A?
No.
Oh.
Rennie wants to try again.
C-U-A-N-T-L-A.
No, you left out one letter.
L-I-A.
L-A. No, I'm going to have to spell it. I can do it right here on my card. Oh, dear. C-U-A-N-T-O-L-A-G-U-S-T-A. That's the way it's spelled. Well, question only called for 2 out of 3, so that was not a miss. That last one was really a doozer, wasn't it? Mrs. Eileen Brandon of Minot, North Dakota says that a number of cats in literature have a way of pulling a disappearing act. What remained of these cats? First, the Cheshire Cat. Joel.
Well, that was in Alice in Wonderland, and all of it disappeared except its grin.
It's Grin. That's right. Uh-huh. Now, how about the tigers and Little Black Sambo? Brenda.
They just melted away.
Well, what did
They
they
were
melt?
running faster and faster till they just melted away.
What did they melt into, though?
Butter.
Butter, that's right, yes. Now, how about the Kilkenny Cats? Brenda.
They fought. They beat. They bet till they eat each other up.
Well, I know, but after they disappeared, what was left of them?
The nails and the tips of their tails.
That's right, the nails and the tips of their tails. That was just wonderful, Brenda. Now, the next question in our classroom is from Philip Shapiro of West Hartford, Connecticut. Let's see how quickly you can identify the following persons whose first names were John. The founder of constitutional law. First name is John. Joel?
John Locke.
Who? No. No. Donald?
John Marshall.
John Marshall. Right. The great profile. First name was John. Rennie?
John Barrymore.
John Barrymore. Correct. And the Quaker poet. The Quaker poet. First name John. Patrick.
Was it Milton?
No. Joel?
John Greenleaf Whittier.
Right. Absolutely. Good boy. Now, here's Bob Murphy with a guest.
Yes, friends, there's a very charming lady facing me across the microphone now. And she's been telling me something I think you'll all be interested in.
Yes, Mr. Murphy, especially the women in our audience. I think every homemaker should know about Alka-Seltzer and how fast it can help relieve the pain of a headache. Well, I hate to admit this, but I didn't discover this myself until a couple of weeks ago.
Oh.
That was the night my husband came home from work with a splitting headache. We were to have dinner with some friends, but he said he was so terribly weary and his head ached so badly that, well, he just couldn't go.
And that sent you hurrying for the Alka-Seltzer?
No, Mr. Murphy. We've kept Alka-Seltzer in the house for years, and we think it gives wonderful relief from stomach upsets and acid indigestion. But we had never tried it for headache relief.
Well, then how?
How did I happen to suggest it to my husband for his headache?
Yes.
Well, I didn't. You see, I called our friends to cancel our dinner engagement, and they suggested Alka-Seltzer.
And he tried it?
Uh-huh.
Well, what about the dinner party? Did your husband feel well enough to go after all?
Did he? Why, Mr. Murphy, it was really amazing how soon he was feeling better. In almost no time, it seemed, Alka-Seltzer had helped relieve his headache, and that tired feeling was gone.
Oh, wonderful.
So, well, we say right along with you, Mr. Murphy. there's nothing quite like Alka-Seltzer.
Well, thank you very much for telling us of your experience. And friends, Alka-Seltzer contains one of the world's most effective pain relievers. So remember, when headache causes grief, misery can be brief. Take Alka-Seltzer for relief.
Now, folks, this next question is a little out of the ordinary because I'm going to let our little 5-year-old quiz kid, Melvin Miles, ask a question, or possibly 2 or 3 questions. Come on up here to the mic, will you, Melvin? Attaboy. Man, sakes, you're all slicked up. No, that's a peachy red shirt you're wearing there. You see, folks, Melvin has said that it looked as if it might be much easier to be the chief quizzer than a quiz kid because he says the chief quizzer has the answers all down on his cards. So I thought just for fun I would let Melvin be the chief quizzer and ask some questions that he has thought up. Shall I introduce you like to do the chief quizzer? Huh?
Okay, if you want to.
All right, let's do it up right. Yeah, you're the chief quizzer now. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it behooves me to introduce at this time the chief quizzer himself, 5-year-old Melvin Miles. All right, now, Melvin, Chief, do you have your questions all ready so that you can take over and read them off a card?
Yes, now here's our first question from me.
Oh, from you, yeah. All right.
What snake could swallow a whole animal like a pig or a sheep? Rennie?
Can't a cobra?
See.
Or is it a python?
That's right, Mr. Kelly.
Look, I'm just an innocent bystander. You got the cards there now. Well, wait a minute. You got pictures on the cards.
Python, huh? Yes, sometimes they trap them.
That's exactly right.
Did she say python?
Yes.
Oh, she did. I see. Of course, you're the chief quizzer. See. All right, go ahead now. What's the next question?
What character went to... This here's a nursery rhyme, pardon me. What character went to bed with some articles of their clothing on? Pat?
Well, you said what character went to bed with, would you repeat that? I have the answer, but...
Yeah, you repeat it, will you?
What character went to bed with some articles of clothing on?
Well, that was Diddle Diddle Jumpling. My son John, he went to bed with his stockings on, one shoe off and one shoe on. Diddle Diddle Dumpling, my son John.
Good for you.
That was my son John.
Well, here's the riddle over here.
All right, Chief, go right in now.
Listen good here. Here's a good one.
You mean we're all going to laugh at this one, huh?
A big Indian and a little Indian were sitting on a fence. And the big Indian, the little Indian was the big Indian's son, but the big Indian wasn't the little Indian's father. Who was the big Indian? Okay, Patrick?
That was his mother.
That's right.
Melvin, I would just like to break in. You're still the chief quizzer, see? But I would like to ask you not to applaud because I'm going to have to start doing that next week if you continue to applaud, see? See? I don't carry my own applause, see? Yeah, all right, yeah.
Okay, kids, here's from the Bible now. What 2 children were the first ones to be born? Patrick?
Oh, that was Cain and Abel.
There, yes, that's exactly right.
They were the son of Adam and Eve.
Yes, that's right now. What's the state flower of Illinois? Donald?
Violet.
What?
Violet.
Yes, there's something else.
Wood violet?
Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
Let's see. Oh. Now, here's a little story here. Who stayed a whole week, half in the hole and half out the hole? Joe?
Oh, I forget the exact name. It's this sort of bear or pig. I remember.
Yes, it's a bear.
He has a master named Christopher Robin, but I can't remember exactly his exact name.
Okay, Patrick.
Well, that was Winnie the Pooh.
Yes, that's exactly right. Okay, well, here's a stumper, another stumper, I guess. Now, if you wanted to buy your mother a gift, and you'd have a microphone, somebody would ask you that, and you'd have a microphone in front of you, how could you do it? Yet your mother would be listening right on the air. How would you do that? Brenda?
Oh, probably I wouldn't pay any attention. I would just let her listen.
Patrick? Well, I'd get her a new fur coat or something, or... I'm not saying, of course, that the one she has now is just fine, but, well, she deserves something new.
Oh, wait a minute. You don't understand. You don't want your mother to hear you say this. Now, how are you going to talk into your microphone and not have her...
Well, you could talk in pig Latin, but...
Excuse me, Chief.
Well, you might say Urfe Oatke.
Oh, what kind of language is that?
Pig Latin.
Oh, pardon me, yes.
Okay, Rennie?
Well, I don't know. I think you could just say that you hadn't quite decided what to get her. Maybe she could help you.
Well, I guess I would try to stump her. It was during the warm-up.
Oh, you mean you'd talk into the microphone before we went on the air? Is that the idea?
Yes, that's
Oh, I get it. I get it now. How do you like that? That was a stumper. Yes, sirree. Well, are y'all finished now?
Yes, well, bye, kid.
Well, wait a minute. I want to ask you a question now. Which do you think is easier, being the chief quizzer or being a quiz kid?
Chief quizzer.
Oh, you think it's easier, huh? Well, all right, fine. I think you are a very good chief quizzer. As a matter of fact, you're a little bit too good tonight. You know that? Goodbye, Melvin. Well, that's the old school bell. And we do have one more question left, however, and it's this. Who won today's Battle of Brains? We let our judges puzzle over that one, and while we're waiting for their answer, here's a reminder.
At 7, at 12, at 6. Mealtime in America and vitamin time. Yes, put that one-a-day brand multiple vitamin bottle on the table and see to it that every member of your family takes a one-a-day brand multiple vitamin capsule. Don't take chances. Government surveys show that the meals of 3 out of 4 persons are short on vitamins. So don't take chances that your daily diet is short on essential vitamins. Be on the safe side. Take one-a-day brand multiple vitamin capsules. 60 capsules, only $2. Remember, mealtime is vitamin time. Take one-a-day brand multiple vitamin capsules.
All right, let me have your attention, children. The judges have handed me your grades. Now, remember, they've taken your age into consideration, as well as the number of correct answers you gave, and whether you win or lose, you will each receive a $100 savings bond from the makers of Alka-Seltzer to help you with your future education. Now then, this report says that, well, you didn't miss a single question. No, sir. Joel was first, Patrick second, and Brenda third. So next Sunday, we'll expect you 3 back at your desks. And here to compete with you, we'll have Ira Lee, age 12, and Melvin Miles, age 5. And by the way, Melvin, next week, that means that you'll be here as a quiz kid, not as a chief quizzer. Now then, I would like to remind everybody that this is Brotherhood Week. Brotherhood of man is one of the basic principles of a free and democratic nation. It means following the golden rule and dealing with others as a brother and an equal, no matter what their color, race, or religion. Let us all rededicate ourselves to the principle of the brotherhood of man and make every week in the year Brotherhood Week. Until next Sunday, this is Joe Kelly dismissing the Quiz Kids. Goodbye, kids.
Bye, Mr. Kelly.
Listen to the Quiz Kids every week and listen to Alka-Seltzer's News of the World every Monday through Friday on most of these NBC stations. This is Bob Murphy speaking.
Quiet, please. Quiet, please. The Mutual Broadcasting System presents Quiet, Please, which is written and directed by Willis Cooper and which features Ernest Chappell. Quiet, Please for tonight is called The Room Where the Ghosts Live.
No, I won't let you take me out of the house. No, I'm going to stay right here. I'm sorry, Doctor.
But, Lawrence, we've got to get you to a hospital. Now stop being a fool.
I won't. I'm going to die anyway, and I don't want to die in an ambulance somewhere out on an icy road between here and town. I'm sorry, that's final.
I can't do anything for you here, Lawrence.
Maybe I don't want you to do anything for me, Doctor.
I'm going to call the ambulance.
How?
By telephone, of course.
The telephone isn't working.
Oh, that's right, I forgot.
That's funny, isn't it?
What?
What a couple of days of snow can do. No lights, no heat, no water. Just like the days when they lived here.
When who lived here?
The ghosts.
Open your mouth.
What for?
Thermometer.
I'm not raving, Doctor.
Well, let's see anyway. Feel any pain?
Sure.
Worse than it was?
Little.
A little morphia won't hurt. It's a good thing I decided to stop in for a cup of coffee. You might have died here all by yourself.
I'm going to die anyway.
Not if I can help it.
Can't help.
Oh, stop that nonsense. Let me have your ball. All right, now. That'll relieve the pain in a minute or two.
Okay.
I could take you to the hospital in my car.
No.
And I think I will.
No.
Lawrence, what got into you? What do you want to die for?
Take some hours.
No, not yet. There's nothing wrong with you. You've been the happiest. You've got everything to live for.
No.
And you go and shoot yourself.
Yep.
Where did you get this pistol, anyway?
Gift.
Didn't you know it was loaded?
Sure.
That powder and ball have probably been in there for 50 years.
Longer than that.
What?
Longer than that.
Well, there's no telling what kind of infection you can get from that bullet.
No. Don't die, asshole.
Let's see that thermometer.
High temperature, huh?
Yeah, it's just pretty high. I guess you're not going to the hospital after all, Lawrence.
I told you that, Doctor.
I couldn't move you with that higher temperature.
That's fine. But I told you I wasn't going to be moved anyway. So you see...
Who gave you this pistol?
A British colonel.
What British colonel?
His name's on the lock plate.
Lieutenant Colonel Robert Charles Graves, 17th Regiment of Foot, 1774. Ancestor of the fellow that gave it to you?
No. He gave it to me himself. Yesterday.
Lawrence, how could he?
He's one of the ghosts.
I see.
No, you don't. I'm not delirious, Doctor. He really is.
No. Just relax, Lawrence.
Of course. I'm going to die anyway. Isn't that so?
I'm afraid it is.
Good.
Lawrence.
What?
Why did you do it?
Well, I'm not sure whether I did it on purpose or not. I wanted to, but maybe it was an accident. Or maybe...
Well, maybe what?
Maybe one of the ghosts... No, I don't think so. I guess it was an accident. I'm glad, though.
But why?
Well, on account of Melanie.
Melanie? Melanie who? Who's Melanie?
Melanie is a girl who lived here 170 years ago.
What?
And who still lives here. It hurts quite a bit, Doctor.
You want me to give you some more morphine?
I guess not. No. I want to tell you things.
Well...
You won't believe me, of course. You think my mind's wandering. Don't you?
Well, What difference does it make?
Yeah, that's right. Nothing makes any difference now. A fellow takes a long time dying, doesn't he? After a while, we have the time, huh? Pretty soon, I'll be a ghost, too. See Melanie. I'd like a little drink of brandy.
Oh, just a second. Oh, here, now take it easy.
Thanks. Good brandy. Wish I could take some along. It's good.
I wish I could do something for you, Lawrence.
Nothing snowed in, aren't we? Sure. I mustn't leave. I couldn't come back, you know. I have to stay here.
I don't understand that.
I have to stay here, I said. My house. What was I talking about?
The ghosts.
Oh, yes. So I tried to keep the house like it was in the old days, see, all by myself. Been fun. And then noises. Heard noises.
What kind of noises?
People beating on door, rattling the latch. Every night. I'm not afraid, Doctor.
I know, Lawrence.
Well, I got up, went all over the house. Noises stopped after a while.
It wasn't a dream?
No dream. Beating on a door someplace. Always sounded like it came from right over there. You see?
Well, there isn't any door there, Lawrence.
That's what I thought. My hands are cold.
I'll build up the fire.
No. I know what it is. I haven't got much time, huh? Have I?
No, Lawrence, you haven't got much time, old man.
I'll have to hurry. Shut your eyes so you can see what I saw. I mean, I didn't see, because it was dark. So, when you shut your eyes, you feel the way I felt. Huh?
All right, Lawrence.
I walked all over the house, lights on. No sound, no hammering on door. No door. I turned off the lights, it starts again. From right over there. I turn on the lights, no door, no noise. And then I get an idea. I turn off the lights again. I walk over where the sound comes from. And there is a door. And I think I hear a woman crying. And footsteps and furniture being shoved around. I said I wasn't scared, didn't I? Well, I was then. You'd be scared, too. Finding a door where there isn't any door and there's somebody on the other side.
But that's the outside wall of the house, Lawrence.
No.
What?
There's a room there. The room where the ghosts lived. You see?
No, I don't.
I didn't know it, too. You got your eyes shut?
Yes.
If you could hear the noise, like I heard it, frantic pounding. People pushing their shoulders against the locked door. And I could smell smoke. You see, I didn't know about the ghosts then.
Well, how do you know now?
I'm trying to tell you.
I'm sorry.
Keep your eyes shut. I want you to feel the way I felt. And believe. I reached for the lights again. I turned them on. Nothing happens, just nothing. Except pounding on the door. Slower now. And the woman crying. And I hear her scream. Oh, Score, she said. It's French. It means help, help. And I heard her voice again. Frightened. Ouvre la porte, she said. That's French, too. Means open the door. So I tried to open it, and it was locked. And they were pounding. She was coughing. And at last I found the key. I yanked the door open. And the ghosts came out. And the lights came back on. There wasn't any door. There wasn't anybody in the room but me. But then I heard something. Somebody walking across the floor down the hall. So I turned and went down the hall after the footsteps, down toward my room. Then I stopped dead. Because the door to my room closed and somebody locked it.
You dreamed that?
No. It was locked from the inside. So was every other door in the house.
That couldn't be.
Try the doors. Open your eyes and try the doors. Go ahead.
Lawrence,
No, go ahead. I'll keep on talking. You have to believe me. Go ahead. So, what did I do? I lay down here on the davenport with the lights on. I tried to think, but nothing made any sense. I got up and I tried the outside door. It was unlocked. So I went outside. I had some crazy idea maybe there was a room there. There wasn't, of course. But there were footprints in the snow. Some men's footprints. And a girl's. This last nose covered them all up again, I guess. Well, what about the doors, Doctor?
They're locked from the inside.
You see? Did you hear anything? Did you?
Well, I thought I heard someone moving. As if I'd awakened somebody. But it was probably my imagination.
No, it wasn't. Look. Sit down. Oh, I'm getting so tired.
Would you?
No, Randy. No. So I came back in, and I sat down. And I hardly noticed that the lights were off again, and then I heard something else. And I said, "Who's that?" And a woman's voice answered me in the dark.
I'm Melanie.
Well, who's Melanie?
Once I was a maid in this house in the time of the war, when the soldiers were captured on Christmas night at Trenton. And these escaped and came here to be hidden by Monsieur Maurice. For he was no patriot, and they were kept...
And you'd think I'd be surprised, but I wasn't very. I didn't interrupt her. She went right on telling me how Morris was a loyalist, and how he hid the officers, and how the neighbors suspected him and spied on him.
Then Monsieur Maurice must go away, you see. And I was left alone to bring food to the poor soldiers. And there was a night when I took their food to them. And when I would go from the room, I found the door to be locked from the other side. But soon we smelled the smoke of the fire, where someone had set fire to the house to destroy these men. And we beat upon the door, but it did not avail us. And so we perished in the fire, I and the British officers. and there was none to know our fate. And for our sins, we are bound forever to this house. Although I have not sinned so very greatly. And I would thank you for releasing us from that room. For so many times we have cried out, yet no one would open the door.
And I opened the door, but now all my doors are locked against me.
Yes. They say it is their house now, and no man can open the doors again.
I think we'll see about that.
They say you must go away.
Well, I'm not going away.
I should be sorry when you go away.
You would?
You have released us. I am grateful.
Thanks. I think they'd be grateful, too.
They are soldiers, monsieur, and they have not forgotten the manner of their death. This is their revenge, that no man shall live in this house.
Well, that's fine. I'm to be chased out of my house by a bunch of ghosts.
It is so, monsieur.
How do you feel about it?
I could wish you could always be here, monsieur.
So?
Yes, monsieur. But it cannot be. Unless.
Unless what?
It cannot be.
If I turned on the lights, could I see you?
No, monsieur. The eyes of the living cannot see us.
What did you look like?
I did have blue eyes, monsieur. And my hair was black. And I was not very tall. And my feet were very small.
And your clothes?
Once I had a gown of taffety. And it was blue, like my eyes, I remember. And there was a cap of lace for my grande in Brittany.
And I was struck with a sudden impulse to see this girl with the black hair and the taffety dress that matched her eyes. And I jumped up and snapped the lights on. And the room was empty. And so I knew I'd been dreaming.
Oh, cool.
But I wasn't dreaming, my friend. She came to me the next night. And the next. Oh, it's so cold. Am I dying now? Is this what it feels like?
Here, take a little sip of this.
Oh.
Better?
How much longer? Well, see, friend, I found myself in love with a ghost. Yes, Melanie. And she loves me, Doctor. And we talked about it so much. There must be a way out. But there couldn't be a way out. And the others kept telling her I must go on, and I asked her to go to them. I'm sorry. Go to them and beg them to let me stay. It was the only way. But she told me they said no, they made a pact between themselves, and they'd not alter it. And the time was getting short. They were sorry, they said, but... And then, last night, she came to me again. When the snow was piling deeper and deeper around the windows, and I said, Melanie, I can't go now. Can't they see that? And she said...
I have spoken again with the colonel.
And what did he say?
He will come to you, he said.
And what?
He will not speak to the living.
But what good?
I do not know. He said he will come to you.
When?
Tonight. Do not speak. Say, Monsieur le Colonel. I have the honor to present Monsieur the Lieutenant Colonel Robert Charles graves of His Majesty's 17th Regiment of Foot. Monsieur the Colonel wishes me to present his compliments to you and to say to you that he has taken counsel with his fellow officers. No, do not speak. Monsieur le Colonel wishes me also to say that he and his fellow officers have come to a decision in the matter of yourself. They honor you for your devotion to me, and they beg leave to supply you with the means of assuring you permanent residence in this house. Monsieur the Colonel begs you to accept as a token of his esteem this
I turned on the lights. It was there on the floor. Flintlock pistol, loaded Godetia black flint. Personal gift from Robert Charles Graves, 17th Foot. Well, I thought a long time. Turned off the lights. Called her. No answer. Talked to her. Told her I loved her. Wasn't brave enough to. Said I loved her. Couldn't do it. Tried. No, I didn't do it. No, I didn't. Long toward morning, heard footsteps again. Boots, sword, spurs clicking. Knew who it was. Said, "Hello, Colonel." Said, "Colonel, thanks, only haven't got courage enough." "Always love her, Colonel," I said. Said, "Here's your pistol." I'm a coward. Drink, please. And then I wake up here. Daylight. See? If Colonel Graves couldn't a fellow show me way out? Couldn't a fellow pull trigger for me? Hello. Melanie, in your blue taffety dress, and your blue eyes, and your black.
You have listened to Quiet Please, which is written and directed by Willis Cooper. Lawrence, the man who spoke to you, was Ernest Chappell. And Melanie was Claudia Morgan. The doctor was played by James Van Dyke. Our sound effects by Albert April. Music for Quiet Please, except for our theme, which is from the Allegretto movement of the César Franck Symphony in D minor, is composed and played by Albert Berman. Now for a word about next week's Quiet Please, here is our writer-director, Willis Cooper.
Baker's Dozen is the title of next week's story, the story of One Man, Two Men.
This is the Mutual Broadcasting System.
Quiet, please. The Mutual Broadcasting System presents Quiet Please, which is written and directed by Willis Cooper and which features Ernest Chappell. Quiet Please for tonight is called Clarissa.
hearted. I've told you that a dozen times. No, I can't prove it, of course not. You'll just have to believe me. Take my word for it. I can't prove he was dead. You can't prove he wasn't. And anyway, what difference does it make? Now, I'm sorry. I can't hear you very well. Yes. Well, all right. It was an old black shell of a house. A house that has lived too long. A house where the floors groaned in pain at night, where the windows shuddered at the gentlest touch of the wind. Where door latches suddenly gave up their grip and let the night come sniffing into the house to paw at your eyes and wake you to the other silences that lay around you. It was never warm there. In the winter, old Heinz kept a fire going in the fireplace in the old sitting room, but the logs were scrawny and the draft was bad. And the flames seemed to grudge us their warmth so that we shivered all through the day. We're glad when night came and we could escape to the meager comfort of the drafty bedrooms. And in the summer, there was a dampness about the place. An unhealthy clamminess drifted from the walls and stirred uneasily among the ancient smells of decay that clung to the place. Well, I suppose you could call old Heinz a character. You said you didn't know him? An immigrant from the Rhineland sometime in the early 70s. That would make him, let me see, how old?
Ich war im Rheinland geboren, in der Jahrzeit 1862.
That's right, 1862. He was an old man, but he never appeared old. You might have taken him for a vigorous man of 60. His hair and his scraggly mustache were jet black. I suspect he dyed them regularly. And his blue eyes seemed as keen as those of a boy of 18. And he'd never been away from the house for a single night, he used to say, from the day he bought it and moved into it in 1888. And it was an old house then. Yes, I spent some very dreary days and nights in that house. What? I couldn't afford a better place to live. Oh, people don't go to live in a haunted house if they can find another place, you know. Oh, yes, of course, I'd heard it was haunted before I went there to live. Do you believe in haunted houses? No, neither did I, of course. Well, I agree, it did look like a haunted house. I've told you about the sounds in the night. I mean, I've told you about some of the sounds in the night. Yes, of course, there were other sounds. Well, please, let me tell it my own way. Well, Clarissa, for instance. Clarissa in particular. Clarissa above everything else. I had lived there nearly a year. Heinz and I sat that first night alongside the fireplace. I remember he'd asked me to share a bottle of Bent Costler Doctor with him. We sat in front of the stingy little fire. There was a kerosene lamp on the table, and Heinz in his old black coat with the sleeves that were too short.
You like the wine then, Jesse?
Yeah, very much. Very much.
I have not much left. This is from before the war when it was easier to get, you see, but now, well, it is almost there last.
You shouldn't be so generous with it, Heinz.
Oh, no. Good wine always schmeckt besser, wenn with a friend you drink it, nicht wahr? A little more?
Not for a moment, thanks.
Yes, to sit by the fire and look down into the coals and see images of the scenes pass. And drink wine and see the images grow clearer. It is good in the old age.
You've lived here alone for a long time?
Yeah, for a long time. Long time. I'm used to it. Used to the nights and the little fire and the silences.
Yes.
This Cold for this time of the year.
Listen.
What's it, Louis?
I thought I heard someone singing.
So?
Did you hear anything?
It is Clarissa.
What did you say?
Clarissa, my daughter.
Well, I didn't know you had a daughter, Heinz.
Yes. Is there more wine?
No, thanks. I haven't seen her around.
No.
Well, is she... Excuse me, Heinz.
You will forgive me, Jesse. She's a child. I do not wish you to be bothered.
Why, she wouldn't bother me, Heinz. I like children.
There's enough left here in the bottle for one more for each of us, huh?
Thank you, Heinz.
Yes? Schlaf wohl.
And I drank the last of the wine with the old man. And then I climbed the creaking stairs to the dreary little room, carrying the kerosene lamp in one hand and casting fabulous shadows on the peeling wallpaper. Seeing the ancient plush-covered rocking chair nodding away at me as I entered the room, as if a startled occupant had suddenly deserted it at the sound of my footsteps on the stairs. And the cold spring rain drenching the window panes. And the murmured complaints of the beams and rafters of the old house. The pleasant, musty fumes of the wine I had drunk kept sleep away for a while when I'd blown out the lamp. And the melody of that children's song flowed again across my mind as I lay there. My thoughts wandered to the lonely child that dwelt in the haunted house with the old man and the new-come student. I smiled to myself as I thought, now that settles the question of the house being haunted, doesn't it? People have heard the little girl singing to herself in the night. They've not known that a little girl lived here, too. And, that's the ghost. And I smiled again at superstitions. And another idle thought struck me. I wondered at the child's age. 10 or 12 years old by the sound of her voice. And somewhere in the back of my drowsy mind, I seem to remember that Heinz had told me Helena, his wife, had died... Well, was it the year of the San Francisco earthquake? Well, that would be 1906. That would be 42 years ago. And this was a child of 10 or 12. I must have been mistaken. I was getting sleepy. The wine, the rain, the dark. Well, you wanted the whole story. I'm telling it to you. In the morning, Heinz was working in his garden, and the early sun made the old house seem a little more cheerful, a little more livable. There was a tinge of green through the gray of the fields that surround the house, and Heinz told me he'd seen a robin. I stood and watched him a long time, and I don't think he noticed how my eyes wandered to the windows of the old house, searching for a flash of color that might be a child's hair ribbon, or how I listened for the sound of a young boy singing a little song the children who danced so long ago on the bridges of Avignon. I didn't even notice that I was humming a song under my breath.
Clarissa's song, eh?
What? Oh.
Well, that's Clarissa's song.
Well, kids used to sing it when I was young.
Yeah, my wife is French. She taught the song to Clarissa.
Oh?
Yeah, it is an old song.
How old is your daughter, Heinz?
Eh?
How old?
Oh, she's young.
Is she pretty?
Oh, yeah. Your breakfast?
Coffee. I found it on the stove.
Clarissa made it.
Oh, did she?
You'd better go to work now, huh?
Yes, I suppose so. You don't need to keep the little girl out of sight on my account, Heinz. I like children.
Oh, she bother you.
Oh, no, I've got a little sister back home.
Oh, yeah?
Miriam. She's 11.
Clarissa is older.
Oh? Miriam's got bright yellow hair.
Clarissa has dark hair.
Yeah, I got a picture of her here.
Oh, so? Oh, yeah. She's very pretty. I have no picture of Clarissa.
No, that's too bad.
Well, I'll see you tonight, huh?
Yes? Yes, sure, Heinz. I should have let the thing drop then and there. If the old man felt that children should be kept away from adults, that was his privilege, of course. And although I was often lonely for other company than the old man, I was a dweller in his house, naturally subject to his wishes. My work? No, I never left the place. My book? Well, I was writing a book. No, not very exciting. Mathematics. I have some theories. No, the book is gone. The fire, you remember? I could understand Heinz. I thought he obviously had a great respect for a man's work, especially a work of such apparent erudition. I must not be disturbed. I might stay in my room day and night with my slide rules and my profile paper and my broken flower pot full of sharpened pencils. I was not to be disturbed. But how many times I wished for the happy sound of my little sister Miriam's gay laughter. Found myself listening for the lilt of the little girl song that she used to sing, and that Clarissa knew too. Heinz mentioned Clarissa occasionally.
I sometimes wish that I could have sent Clarissa to school, Jesse.
Well, it's too bad you didn't.
Always there was never enough money.
Why, there are schools. Public schools, Heinz.
No, not for Clarissa's free schools.
You know, I wonder.
Wonder?
Well, children are supposed to go to school. I'm surprised that the school authorities haven't been to see about sending her.
The police?
Oh, no, not the police. But there are laws about schools. I mean, you might find yourself in trouble if they discover you have a daughter of school age.
They will come here.
Well, if they find out.
Jesse, you will not tell.
Now, look here, Heinz. You're not being fair to the child.
Yes.
No, really, I mean it. Hasn't she ever been to school?
I teach her a little.
Well, Heinz, it's none of my business. But you're doing her a very serious harm.
No. Listen, Jesse. You don't tell anybody about her.
Well, I don't know, Heinz. If they come and ask me...
Jesse, listen. I tell you something.
Well?
Clarissa can't go to school.
Well, why not? I told you it doesn't cost anything.
It is not that.
Well, then?
She's not well.
Oh, I'm sorry, Heinz. Look, would you like it if I gave her a little of my time and taught her some of the elementary...
No, please, don't.
Well, I'd be glad to.
No.
Well, have it your way, Heinz. I don't mean to intrude on your affairs, but after all, a child...
I'm sorry, Jesse. I thank you, but no.
All right. Forget it. But I couldn't forget it. A kindly old man. Yes, he was kindly. And a sick child who had never seen the inside of a schoolroom, who was growing up to become... what? In an ancient, moldering house, a house that had lived too long, alone with a father born 86 years ago. Alone at night in the darkness with the house grumbling and complaining around me. I thought about the plight of the child. Sometimes I could hear her song far away somewhere in the dank recesses of that crumbling house. And my thoughts revolved again about this mystery. Heinz said she was not well. Heinz would not allow her to appear. Was Clarissa some misshapen monster child that she must be pent up and never see the sun? Was she... I detest mysteries of that kind. I love the good, clean mysteries of abscissa and ordinate, the logarithm and antilogarithm, of the calculus and the grand old theorems devised by the ancients. But the fascinating mysteries of the human mind and of human behavior are alien to me. Them I hate. And my thoughts crept further information about the child laid hold of my mind. In the night, how often I heard her sobs, I thought, sometimes close outside my door. And yet when I opened the door, there was nothing. And old Heinz grew more and more taciturn. He never spoke of his daughter. He seemed to avoid me by day and to disappear by night. But the summer came then, and the fall, and winter. My book was going badly, and my thoughts wandered. I must leave this place, I thought, or find out this mystery. And again I asked the old man if there was not something I might do for this pathetic child, this invisible, haunting voice.
No, Jesse. There is nothing you could do.
But Christmas is coming, Heinz. What can I get her for Christmas?
No, why not, Jesse?
What?
My Helene. She died on the eve of Christmas.
Well, but Heinz, you owe it to the child.
No. Let us not speak of it again.
But to me, the thought of Christmas passing by this child was unspeakable. I determined that if the old man would do nothing about it, I would. You know, I had little money, and there was so little I could do. But I did come into the town here, and I found a toy for her. I found one I could afford. A little woolly lamb. A little woolly white lamb with black buttons for eyes and a blue silk ribbon about its neck and a gay little blue flower in its mouth. I hung a little card about its neck that said, Merry Christmas to Clarissa. And on Christmas Eve, Heinz and I shared the last bottle of Ben Kostler Doctor before the miserly little fire. And I gave him one of the handkerchiefs my little sister Miriam had sent me, and he gave me an old stone Krug with a heavy pewter top that he said came from Heidelberg. And we regretted that there was no creamy Pilsner Urquell to drink from it. Wished each other a happy Christmas. And then, in the night, I was awakened by a tiny sound. And I lay awake silently for a moment. And there was another sound. A hesitant little footstep. And a rustling at the dresser across the room from me. And I lay quietly and listened. Is that you, Clarissa? Is that you, Clarissa? Do you like it? Good. Happy Christmas. I'm sorry, that's all I could get you. But I hope you like it. And I felt the touch of a tiny hand on my shoulder. And lips brushed my cheek. And the door closed. And the sound of her voice in the little song was happier now than I'd ever heard it. And so I knew at last that Clarissa was not a ghost, but a living person. And I felt more at peace with myself as I realized that this was what had been plucking at the corners of my mind. And I was happy now that I knew she really lived, that I was not living in the midst of fantasy. I had wondered what Heinz would say. He was perfectly natural about it.
It was good of you, Jesse.
Good? What?
To find a gift for Clarissa.
Oh, did you like it?
Ah.
Well, I'm glad.
She asked me to say Dankeschön to you.
Then I say Bitteschön.
It is good. You're a kind person, Jesse.
I wish it could have been more.
Oh, it is a very rich gift. Never has she had such a thing.
Is she going to have Christmas dinner with us, Heinz?
No. So, I had won a little victory in this conflict with the darkness.
answered shortly. I suggested that a birthday gift might be in order if I only knew her birthday. I proposed writing to my own sister and begging her for outworn storybooks that Clarissa might read, even if she must stay aloof from the rest of the house. Heinz did not reply. Everything was as it had always been, so long as the name of Clarissa was not mentioned. But when it came in the late spring, when it was cold and windy again, and the raw snow pelted against the windows and the whole house shivered, I heard her crying again in the night, and there was a quality in her voice this time that brought me out of the bed and into the hall. I called in alarm, "Clarissa!" I stepped back into my room and lit the kerosene lamp. And as I stepped out again toward the hallway, Heinz confronted me.
What's Auntie Jessie?
Why, can't you hear her, Heinz? Something's wrong. She's sick.
No, go back by your room, Jessie.
Oh, but Heinz...
Don't beat this, Jessie. Go back.
Now, Heinz, listen to me. Something's awfully wrong with that child, and
I will take care of her, Jessie.
Please, Heinz.
In your room.
Now, see here,
I take care of my own man, huh? Heinz.
I reached for the door at once, but it was locked from the outside, and I beat on it and stormed at it in the cold. But for once it held. I screamed at the father, threatening every kind of vengeance on him, till at last I suddenly realized that I was being hysterically silly. In the silence, I could hear nothing but the moan of the wind around the rusty cornices of the house and the hiss of snowflakes against the window. And I sat down, shaken, bitter at myself for giving way to such an outburst over a child's crying in the night. And at last I lay down again, and in the frosty silence of the early dawn, I fell asleep. And when I awoke, hours later, and found my door unlocked again, Heinz was not to be found. Not that day, nor the next. I tramped through the house, opening doors, calling him, calling Clarissa. There was not a sound to answer me. I found a little wood and made a miserable fire. I suppose I ate. I don't remember any too well. And at night I went to bed to lie shivering for hours, straining my ears for a sound. The sound of a child's song. The sound of a father's footstep in the cold darkness. And it was morning, nearly morning. Gray fingers of morning plucking at the frost-rimed windows. And I awoke to see Heinz standing beside my bed. In the 2 days, he seemed to have aged 20 years. He was an old man. He spoke to me.
Jessie, my friend.
What's the matter, Heinz?
No much matter, Jessie. I am dying.
Why, Heinz.
It is finished now, Jessie. Anders is Fourbleboard.
Here, sit down.
No. Hear me. See, the key to Clarissa's room. You take it.
Oh, is she all right? Heinz!
Too late for me now. Go. Clarissa's room. Do what is to be done.
I lifted him to the bed. I bent over him. I listened for his heart. There was no sound. Heinz was dead. Yes, just as I told you before, he died. He died there in my room, yes. What? Oh, yes. In the little half-light, I found the kerosene lamp and I lit it. I took the key from the floor where he dropped it. No. I found the room very easily. It was at the far end of the hall. I called, "Clarissa? Clarissa!" And there was no answer, so I unlocked the door. And holding the light above my head, I walked over to the bed. And there, lying on the bed, dressed in a pinafore that might have come out of the 10-year drawing in Alice in Wonderland, clutching a little woolly lamb to her breast, there lay a tiny, old woman with long white hair braided into pigtails. Clarissa. And I knew why I hadn't heard the little song for 2 days. And so when the lamp dropped out of my hand and the flames started licking around the dry as dust draperies and the fragile old oaken boards on the floor, I turned and went out of the house. Well, what else was there to do? The house had lived too long. And so had the father and daughter who dwelt there.
Please for tonight was called Clarissa. The man who spoke to you was Ernest Chappell. And Heinz was played by Bruno Vick. Clarissa by Peggy Stanley. As usual, music for Quiet Please is by Albert Berman. Now a word from our writer-director, Willis Cooper.
The characters in tonight's Quiet Please are neither living nor dead. They enjoy neither of these interesting conditions because they're solely the invention of my own imagination, intended to represent nobody at all. Quiet Please for next week is called 13 and 8.
And so until next week at the same time, I am quietly yours, Ernest Chappell. Quiet Please comes to you from New York. This is the world's largest network serving more than 450 radio stations, the Mutual Broadcasting System.
Quiet, please. Mutual Broadcasting System presents Quiet Please, which is written and directed by Willis Cooper and which features Ernest Chappell. Quiet Please for tonight is called The Thing on the Fourbleboard. Me, I'm a roughneck. Well, I was a roughneck, 20 years ago. A little too old, too slow now. Besides, I got $1 now. I don't have to be a roughneck, you see. Married, got a nice home. Had to meet my wife. Hey, Mike. Her name's Maxine, but she likes to be called Mike. Mike! I guess she's busy out in the kitchen someplace. Besides, she doesn't hear very well. Shame, too. She's so pretty and everything. Well, you'll meet her. Sit down. I was saying I was a roughneck. Well, no, that doesn't mean exactly what you think it means. A roughneck is an oil field worker, specifically a guy in a drilling crew. Call them roughnecks like you call a section hand on the railroad a gandy dancer, a garage hand a grease monkey. Same time you work around a drilling crew for a while, you're going to be a roughneck in every sense of the word, boy. A derrick floor or a Fourbleboard's no place for a guy with a bow tie. Because And when you have to fool around with drilling holes that go farther down the ground than it is from the top of Pike's Peak down to sea level, yeah, sure they do. The time I was a roughneck, we got this one well down to 7,313 feet. That was a record. But last May, Pure Oil brought one in out in the Natrona Valley in Wyoming at 14,309 feet. That, friend, is almost 3 miles. Quite a hole, that, huh? Sure, I don't think there's an oil man in the world that don't wonder one time or another what's down there, besides rock and oil and gas. Oil that's made out of trees that died 20 million years ago. Oil that's made out of dinosaur bones. Oil that's maybe made out of the flesh and blood of men, maybe, that beat each other to death with a stone axe, ate saber-toothed tiger for lunch. Yeah, you get to wondering. You look at the cores that come up from way down there, and sometimes the little shells, trilobites mostly, that was alive when Manhattan Island, where New York is, was under half a mile of ice. We found something once, me and Billy Grunwald, and something found us. I'll tell you about it. We were down to around 5,400 feet. We'd set casing. We began to get water, so we had to stop drilling and cement off. Well, you see, when water begins to seep in the hole, you pull your drill pipe, then you let down a cementing shoe inside the casing, and you plug up the bottom of the hole, casing and all, with quick hardening waterproof cement. Then when it's hard, you drill through the cement and go on down, and the cement outside the casing at the bottom keeps the water out. Well, we had the drill pipe all pulled and cracked. The cement was setting, see, so we was shut down, waiting for it to harden. We'd been coring just before. Well, you see, a core drill is hollow, and as the bit digs down, it stuffs the drillings up inside it, so when you pull it out, you got a sample of the kind of stuff you're going through. And a geologist can tell a lot from that. So there's nobody around the rig except me that night. The rest of the crew's gone into town. I was toasting some pork chops over the forge for my supper. I heard a car pulling up. Look out, it's Billy Grunwald, the geologist, and I give him a hello. Hi, Billy. Come and have a pork chop.
Hi, Porky. Where's everybody?
They all went to town. I'm the whole crew.
I had 3 blowouts between here and Oxnard.
Yeah, I wondered where you was. Ted said you'd be in here about 3.
Yeah, I would have been, except for my tough luck. Oh, I'm dead.
Yeah, hungry?
Starved.
Yeah, I got 7 pork chops. And bread. And some coffee, kind of.
Swell. Yeah, I got a bottle in the car.
We're going to have a banquet.
Hey, where's that core? That's what I came up here to look at.
Yeah, back there on the bench. Look at it after supper.
Hey.
What?
Didn't you say you were all alone here?
I
thought I heard somebody talking.
I don't see anybody. Keep an eye on that pork chop. You won't have any supper.
Yeah, I'm watching it.
Yeah, let me put the coffee on. Like so.
When'd you finish cementing?
This morning. Last tower only made about 10 feet of holes, so Ted shut down before we get flooded out of house and home.
Funny about that water.
How?
Oughtn't to be any at that level, according to my figuring.
Well, there is.
Is it salt?
Sure, right out of the bottom of the ocean.
That's funny. Well, maybe I'll be able to tell something from the core. Yeah, I hope so. The last core I looked at, I'd have sworn we were getting into shale.
Ain't seen none yet from the cuttings.
That's funny.
Here, your pork chop's done. Yeah, take some bread.
Yeah, thanks. Oh, man.
Good, huh? Yeah, put on another. I had 2 already before you come.
Yeah, much obliged. Yeah, you never can tell what's down there. You get it all mapped and plotted out, all the strata. And all you know is what comes out of the hole.
Yeah, I'd like to go down there sometime if I was little enough.
Never get you down a hole.
Yeah, you'd fit. You're skinny.
I'll stay up here and look at the cores, Bud. Where is that one?
Behind you. Over there.
Oh. Well, I'll have a look at it.
Well, why don't you wait till you finish your supper?
I'm just going to look at it. Put on another pork chop for me.
Okay.
Well, I wish those screech owls would keep...
What's the matter?
Hey,
Wait a minute, Porky.
Well, why did...
Listen.
What's eating you?
You know, I'd have sworn there's somebody up there in that Fourbleboard.
Ah, you're crazy. There's nobody up there.
Getting against those stands of drill pipe.
Ah, they're just rack crooked. One of them slipped. Come on back and eat your pork chop.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess so. Only I...
Ah, what's you so jittery about, Billy? Come on, eat your sandwich. Here.
Yeah, well, thanks, Porky. I don't know. I'm just naturally that way, I guess. I'm always scared of the dark. Doggone it, I hate to be a baby, but I can't help it.
Scared of the dark? Honest?
Stupid, ain't it?
Oh, I don't know. Everybody's scared of something. Me. Spiders scare the tar out of me. Black widows. Oh. I know how you feel, Billy.
There another light over here?
Yeah. Here.
Ah. Oh. That's better. Hey, listen, Porky. Go out to the car and look in the left-hand door pocket and bring back that bottle, will you? That's what I need.
Okay, kid. Okay. So I picked up a flashlight. I turned around and went outside. I found the car. And I got the bottle. And the floor of the derrick was all lit up, and when I saw a beam of light suddenly flash up toward the Fourbleboard, I laughed. Billy Grunwald and his ideas. Sure, I looked up. There wasn't a darn thing up there, except the drill pipe racked against the fingerboard. Oh, this, Fourbleboard. Well, you've seen oil derricks, or pictures of them. You know that little platform that runs around the outside of the derrick about halfway up? Well, that's the Fourbleboard. Well, you see, drill pipe comes in lengths, and you handle them with several lengths screwed together so as to save time getting them in and out of the hole. 2 lengths is a double, 3 is a triple, 4 is a fourble. When you pull the pipe, you heist it up inside the derrick with a traveling block, which moves up and down from the crown block at the top of the derrick. And then when a fourble of pipe is pulled out, it's held in the rotary table. You break the joint with tongs, like a great big Stilton wrench, you see. Snub a cable that's fastened to the handle over the cathead on the drawworks, and that breaks the joint. Then you hold the tongs on the pipe, give the rotary table a few turns to unscrew it. You heist away with the traveling block and swing it over against the fingerboard, lean it against the derrick. The guy up on the Fourbleboard takes off the traveling block. You do it all over again till you got all the pipe out, you see? Well, there wasn't anybody up on the Fourbleboard, except a screech owl, and it flew away. So Billy turned his light off, and I come on inside. And just as I come up the steps, he let out a yell.
Yay!
What's the matter? What's the matter, Billy?
Hey, come here. Look here.
Well, what's it?
Look, Porky.
Where did you find that?
Now, listen, Porky, I give you my word. That was embedded in the core.
Why, it couldn't be.
I tell you it was. Look where I dug it out. You know what? That rock there comes from a mile underground. And it's been a mile underground for 1,000,000 years. And look at this.
And I did look. And what he was holding was a gold ring. And it was all carved and filigreed just like jewelry. And there wasn't any kidding about it. It was real. No, wait a minute. Hang on, I ain't done. I poked at the core of rock that looked like a kind of petrified salami or something. And then it was my turn to pretty near jump out of my pants. Because right alongside the place where Billy dug out the ring, there was a mud-covered, but very unmistakable finger. I picked it up, and it was cold, and it was heavy, and it was solid rock. At least it felt like solid rock. And I looked at Billy, and Billy looked at me. He started to rub the mud off this here stone finger. And as he rubbed it, it begun to disappear. No, he could still feel it, he said, but when the mud was gone, neither one of us could see it. And he dropped it to the derrick floor. It went clunk, and we couldn't find it any place. So you know what we done? Well, we took that bottle and we took and finished it, Billy and me. We finished it in one slug apiece, and it was a full pint of bathtub gin. It tasted just like so much well water to me. And then we sat down on the derrick floor and we looked at each other. We didn't say a word. My eyes got heavier and heavier. The last thing I remember was I heard some kind of noise that seemed to be coming up from down the Fourbleboard 80 feet above us. I shut my eyes a minute. I guess I went to sleep. And I had awful dreams. Black Widow. Spiders crawling all over me with gold rings on their legs. Things I could hear, but I couldn't see, up on the Fourbleboard. Billy Grunwald climbing up the ladder outside the derrick in the moonlight. Faces looking at me, and I couldn't figure out who they were. Then I was waked up by a horrible scream. The crash alongside me that shook the whole derrick. I opened my eyes to see Billy Grunwald lying on the floor 2 feet away with a broken neck. With a broken neck and his left hand, well, he put the gold ring on the little finger of his left hand, and the way his arms were spread out, his left little finger and the ring were gone. Well, friend, I got out of there. I run down to where Billy had left his car, and I got in. I stepped on the starter. And I couldn't get it to go, and then I remembered after I pretty near run down the battery that Billy had taken a key. I wasn't going up there and go through a dead man's clothes to get it. So I sat there in the car and shivered all by myself till daylight. And then Ted and the crew came. Afterwards, a state cop, and everybody in the world was asking me questions.
Did you and Billy have a fight, Porky?
I told you we didn't, Ted.
But you had been drinking.
We only had that little pint, Ted.
Well, what was he doing up on the Fourbleboard?
Did you threaten him, and did he run up there to get away from you?
Listen, cop, don't be a chump. Billy Grunwald and I were good friends.
Then why'd you push him off the Fourbleboard?
I didn't, I tell you. I wasn't up there.
Oh, what did he go up there for?
I don't know. I was asleep.
How do you know he was up there?
I didn't say he was. You said so. Besides, how would he break his neck if he didn't fall from way up there?
Well, look, officer. I think it was just another accident. I mean, we haven't got anything on Porky, and personally, I don't believe he did it.
Well, it's mighty mysterious.
So it is. But we got work to do. Now, how about it? That cement's hard down there. I want to start drilling again, and I'm short-handed. Will you let Porky stay here till I run in my pipe again, and, well, then you can take him and ask him questions till you're blue in the face.
Well,
Okay. Let's get rolling. You got steam up, Happy?
I'm all set.
All right. Porky, you go up on the Fourbleboard.
What? Not me, Ted.
Oh, don't be such a boob. There's nobody up there to shove you overboard. You can put a safety line around you if you want to. And besides, you're getting paid to do what you're told. I've lost too much time already. Come on, get going.
So, okay, I go up on the Fourbleboard. And you can bet I took a good gander around before I did anything else. No, I couldn't see a thing. So I signaled to the driller to let down the traveling block, and he did. Came sailing down from up above. I was just reaching for it to pick up the first four-bullet drill pipe. Gave a big jerk, and the cable broke. It dropped and nearly pulled me off the Fourbleboard. And it landed right on top of Ted. And if you have any idea what a guy looks like after 2 tons of metal land on him from 80 feet up, yeah, you keep your ideas to yourself. Well, that was enough. 2 accidents in a row. The whole crew quit. They wasn't going to wait for a third. And it was Ted's money that was paying off. There wasn't any more, and as far as I know, the abandoned derrick is still there. And that was 20 years ago. Oh, I forgot to tell you something. That traveling block was right in front of my face when it broke loose. It was hanging by steel cable, 3/4-inch steel cable. And I saw that cable break right before my eyes. Looked just like a piece of string when you snap it between your fingers. I could almost see the fingers. And you know what? There was something up there on the Fourbleboard with me. And so a couple of days later I came back. I don't know if there's anything in the world as desolate, as dismal, as dead-looking as an abandoned oil well rig. There it stands like a skeleton off on a deserted side road and the bare yellow hills surrounding it, and it's the deadest thing you ever saw. I sat in my car for a long time looking at it. Everything was just the way we'd left it. I looked in at the floor. The smashed traveling block was there alongside the rotary table. There was a little mutter of steam from the boiler. That was all. Then I heard a tinkle of something as it hit the ground alongside me. I looked around. There wasn't a soul in sight. But at my feet was the gold ring that Billy Grunwald and I had found in the core of rock that came from a mile underground and from 1,000,000 years ago in time. And I heard a little sound. The sound of a kid crying. And there wasn't any kid up there. And I heard it again, and it came from above my head, and I took out my revolver. I loaded it carefully. I started up the ladder to the Fourbleboard. No, there wasn't anything up there, nothing I could see. But there was a voice crying. The voice of a little kid. And then there was a movement behind the rack of drill pipes, and I saw the pipe move, and I yelled, "Come out of there, whoever you are! Come out or I'll start shooting!" And the stand of pipe shivered, and I thought, what can it be that can handle that heavy pipe like jack straws? And then there was a crash. The whole stand of pipe fell over, and I just got out of the way in time. And I was alone on the Fourbleboard with the thing. But I couldn't see it. I felt the platform tremble under my feet again as something moved toward me. I fired 2 or 3 shots. And nothing happened. I started backwards. I knew it was following me because I could hear it meowing like a cat. My feet tripped over something. I saw it was a big can of red lead that somebody had left up there. Without thinking, I picked it up and I threw it at the sound, and it splashed. And there it was. And I wish the face of a little girl, frightened, crying with hunger and terror. Hands like a human being, and a finger missing from the left hand. And a body. Well, I'll tell you about that. I told you how I'm scared of spiders. But I knew where it came from. It had come from the bowels of the earth, come riding up on the drill pipe as we yanked it out of the well. Come to an alien world and was lost. It stood there dripping with red paint, blood red from head to foot like some horrible dream. And it put its hand on my arm. Its hand was stone. Living, moving stone. And it looked into my eyes and mewed like a lost kitten. "20 years ago, I discovered many things about it, what it used for food, that it was deaf, That it was invisible and couldn't see people when it was invisible. That if you sprayed it with mud or paint, or grease paint, makeup, then it could see people. And believe me, I didn't want to see its body. I can see that in my nightmares. But its face, I can't help wanting to see that pathetic little girl face. I'm afraid maybe I've fallen. But it's very beautiful. And when it's well made up, it's... But making it up, rubbing grease paint on a stone face that looks at you and smiles, and it makes sounds like a lost kitten yet. I can disguise the body in long dresses. She can't hear very well, and when she's hungry, I have to stay out of her way. I found out what she likes to eat, remember? No, sit still. Sit still, do. Sit still or I'll have to shoot you. I want you to meet my wife. Or rather, my wife wants to meet you. Mike. Mike. There she is. Come on in, dear.
The title of tonight's Quiet Please story is The Thing on the Fourbleboard. It was written and directed by Willis Cooper and featured Ernest Chappell. And Dan Sutter played Billy Grunwald. Pat O'Malley was Ted. And Cecil Roy was also a member of the cast. As usual, music for Quiet Please is played by Albert Berman. Sound by our good friend Albert April. Now, for a word about next week, here is our writer-director, Willis Cooper.
Well, I'm reasonably sure that all the characters in tonight's stories were completely fictional. At least I, for one, hope so. Next week, the story is called Presto Changeo, I'm sure.
And so, until next week at the same time, I am quietly yours, Ernest Chappell. This program was heard in Canada through the facilities of the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation. This is the Mutual Broadcasting System.